for the federal government, right? Or one of the ancillary industries that feeds off of our tax dollars that they receive from the federal government. They all moved in. They spent years in their gestation pits in Washington, D.C., eating granola and guacamole and, training at far-left liberal universities to go forth and vote in other states and destroy those states like the left has destroyed Washington, D.C. and many blue states. So now they're all living in Northern Virginia, and they've skewed Northern Virginia. So I don't think a Republican's carried Virginia in a presidential contest since 2004. Right? Obama carried it twice. Could it flip back in 2024? Let's talk to Rich Barris about that and more. In our second hour, we're going to be joined by Teddy Liddell. Okay, if you haven't heard that name already and you live in South Jersey on my side of the river, he is now the Republican nominee in the 1st Congressional District. He's going to take on Don Norcross in November. There's a lot of things about Teddy that are interesting, but when you look at some of the recent surveys suggesting that there is a large migration of black males away from the Democrat Party towards the Trump camp, Teddy is African-American, right? He's a black Republican running in Camden County, which has some urban sectors. Could he be in the avant-garde of a movement that is going to crash on our political shores in 2024 and sweep not only Donald Trump into office, but also revolutionize American politics? We'll talk to Teddy about that in our second hour. And then in our third hour, because they're crazy enough around here to give us 3, we will be joined by our regular and our favorite Dan Cerrucci, who, as per usual, has some pithy commentary concerning that absolutely embarrassing Joe Biden sojourn to Normandy in commemoration of the anniversary of D-Day. It's such a, and I don't want to get too into it now because I want to talk about it with Dan, but it was such a sad moment. And I actually joined Rich Zeoli's program on Friday to talk about it. D-Day, right, more than any other day that we commemorate on the calendar, epitomizes American greatness, specifically a lot of young Americans, some who lied about their age to enlist in the military and fight Nazis in World War II, right? They went to those beaches. Many of them never left those beaches or the waters surrounding those beaches, and they quite literally saved the world, right? They were the greatest generation for a reason. Juxtapose that with Joe Biden, who, some days it's questionable how with us he truly is, mumbling through his speech, embarrassing us, embodying American weakness, and projecting American decline. It's everything, all the reasons, all the things, as the Gen Zers would say, why we need to change horses in 2024. We can't continue to go down this path. We're going to talk to Dan about that in the 9 o'clock hour. Again, 855-839-1210 is the number. Henry, Andrew, how was your weekend, guys?
Great. Yeah, mine was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good?
Yeah.
Anybody do anything fun?
I went to the beach. I didn't go down the shore.
You didn't go down the shore?
I went to the beach.
I went to the zoo.
Was the zoo for you watching Henry on the beach?
No, it was
What are you trying to say?
first time taking the kids to the Philadelphia Zoo.
Ah,
So it was
wonderful.
good. Yeah.
It's a wonderful zoo.
Yes.
It costs about $700 to visit with kids. Mm-hmm. That's my one knock.
Parking
on the
is
Philadelphia zoo.
an additional cost as well.
Yes. Parking is a little bit out of control. But did they love it? Did they enjoy it?
No, it was fun. So my daughter loves watching animals on TV.
Okay.
She loves stuffed animals. Her favorite thing is like a reindeer moose thing that she's got. But one of the funniest reaction is like when she's actually there looking at the animals, and the animals are like, 6-10 feet away from her. She's like, "Oh, that's a real thing, and it's massively bigger than it is on TV."
Just the wonder and the awe.
But
right?
it's hysterical to watch because you see her at home and she's pointing because she's almost 2 years old, so she's pointing. She knows what things are, and she'll make like the noises and stuff. But then when she sees the animal in person, it's a completely different story.
It's a whole new deal.
It's hysterical, but I love it, and she did have a fun time.
I remember taking my son there maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
and we went to the ape enclosure, and I think he had a conversation with an ape through the glass.
They have a newborn gibbon. We got the whole rundown of the process and how big the family is and the names of everybody and stuff. It was cool.
The zoo is an underrated adventure. I mean, again, given the way things are going anymore, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
It used to be a relatively cheap trip for a family. You could even pack a lunch if you wanted to.
Right.
Now it's like going to the baseball game or anything else. You essentially have to take out a HELOC on your house in order to afford it. But I'm glad that you had a good time. Next time you could bring Henry and he can babysit for you.
Are you saying you can't bring lunch in anymore?
Are you not allowed to bring
Are you
food
not allowed
in?
to bring that in?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe you still can bring the lunch in. What I'm saying is the ticket prices used to be such that if you brought lunch,
it
wasn't an expensive day for a family.
Right.
Yeah, it's nice family fun.
Yeah, you could probably still bring lunch in.
All right, good. Because that's
Don't worry, Henry.
That's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
That's where Henry has all his dates. He packs some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And
Lunchables.
the Crustables?
The Crustables.
Oh,
That's,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Cape May Zoo is free, though.
The Cape May Zoo, for anyone that has never visited it, is a hidden treasure.
It really is.
Yes, I even hate talking about it sometimes because we don't want more Philadelphians. Sorry, folks.
No.
We don't want more of you coming. We love your tourist dollars in New Jersey, but it's a hidden gem down there. $0, and I would wager that it is almost as good as the Philadelphia Zoo.
I like it because there's more, like, even though it's a further walk, I feel like they have more variety of animals and such. Because when we went to Philly yesterday, they didn't have an elephant and they didn't have camels. They used to have the camel rides and stuff. They don't have that anymore.
You can't have elephants anymore at the zoos.
Why?
They did away with that. It's mean to the elephants or something.
Well, they're
like
smart,
that.
right? A little too smart for the. I mean, like gorillas are too, I guess.
Yeah, but gorillas, I guess, don't need as much room to move around.
Fair.
That's a thing.
Well,
so now you can't find elephants anymore at these zoos.
I thought
It's a real loss.
the Cape May Zoo, I thought still had elephants because they do have like the big giant open areas though.
They have that big area, and they have giraffes, and they have zebra.
And then they have that half zebra looking onyx thing.
Yeah,
Okapi.
What was that?
An okapi.
That's how you. All right.
See, you got to take Henry on your next family trip.
All right.
I made
He
a couple.
knows the animals.
I made a few trips to the zoo as a kid.
Wow.
Apparently some information stuck pretty well.
Yeah.
Is this a hidden passion we've uncovered?
No, I just always thought that was a fascinating animal because.
I mean, it is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very odd looking.
Okay, interesting. Well, another fantastic family activity if you're looking for something. It's a little hard to get tickets. And you might have to stand around in line for a while, but it's free. You can go to a Trump rally if one comes to your neighborhood. I was at the one in Wildwood last month, and I guess it was, May 7th or something like that. It was unbelievable. Talked about that plenty. There was just a Trump rally today. I think we have some audio out in Las Vegas, Nevada. Tens of thousands of Nevadans showed up to cheer on President Trump, and he actually got an endorsement from one of the local police groups. Listen to this. This is Trump receiving the endorsement at today's rally. It's great stuff.
Is this the cut you sent?
Yeah, this is the cut I said.
All right,
You're
we're
gonna
gonna hold
have
off
one
on
now?
that for a second.
Okay, yeah, we'll come back to that then. It's really good. And it signals to me that something is indeed happening out there. We'll talk a little bit more about that with Rich Barris when he joins us on the show. But Nevada, again, like Virginia, another state that Republicans have not seriously played in for a long time. Exciting times. And I'm excited, especially because I'm awake. 855-839-1210 is the number. Let's take a break to play some ads, make some money, and then we'll be back to kick off the Matt Rooney Show in earnest. Don't move a muscle.
Company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Hey, this is Mike Quick. If you're in the restaurant, hospitality, or casino business and your point-of-sale system isn't helping you sell more, earn more, or work less, you need to talk to my friends at PDQ Signature Systems. PDQ has everything you need for success. PDQ POS is the fastest, easiest, and most reliable POS system available. Whether you have a single location restaurant or thousands of locations, Joe Flynn and his team will create a custom game plan that will help your business succeed. Visit PDQPOS.com.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. June is Men's Health Month with Rescue Natural Supplements. Life is busy. It can be hard to focus on your health. Thankfully, Rescue Men's Health Supplements have the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that provide men with what they need. Rescue supplements can help boost testosterone, promote a healthy prostate, as well as support energy and vitality for an active life. And for the month of June, when you buy one of their Men's Health single bottles, you'll receive a second totally free. Just use the code STRENGTH for the buy one, get one offer. To order, call a Rescue Product Consultant, 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483, or shop online by visiting res-q.com. That's res-q.com. Discover the amazing benefits of Rescue Natural Male, Prime RX, Super Prostate, and more. Again, use that code STRENGTH for the buy one, get one free offer on Rescue Men's Health products. Shop res-q.com and do it today.
Don't miss the Education Show with Dom Giordano every Sunday morning at 5:30. Find out how you can help your child or grandchild succeed. Sponsored by New Hope Academy.
Virtua Health, real patients, real doctors, real complex cases. Take one.
Open heart surgery, tear in my aorta.
The most complex cases come to us at Virtua Health.
I'm sure I wouldn't have been here without you.
Being a 45-year-old, not being able to walk up one flight of stairs, I had no idea I was in heart failure.
Virtua is a premier heart failure center in South Jersey.
They changed my life. It's truly a blessing.
Want to follow our stories? Go to virtua.org. Virtua Health, here for good.
This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. You may know me from my book, Money Hacks. You may know me from my radio shows. And you may even know me from some of these commercials. But listen, I'm teaching stuff that people need to learn about money. In fact, my favorite topic is money. So go to investorschooling.com and you will learn things about money that you never even knew existed. We will teach you things about real estate, about the stock market, and about how to use your IRAs properly. Go to investorschooling.com and sign up for a complimentary class this Thursday night at 7 o'clock. That's investorschooling.com. This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. Are you tired of hearing about the recession that's coming? Are you prepared for it? Well, listen, at investorschooling.com, we're going to teach you ways to prepare for the recession that you didn't even know existed. We're going to teach you strategies on how to use real estate. We're going to teach you strategies how to use the stock market properly. That's right, you can even make money in the stock market when the stock market goes down. Hey, go to investorschooling.com and register for a free class this Thursday night, and you will learn all of these techniques. Go to investorschooling.com right now, RSVP for this Thursday. We'll see you there.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-329-2121. That's 800-329-2121. 800-329-2121.
Jim Cipriotti at Retire Ready Financial Group doesn't need Google to know you're worried about retirement. Between inflation, rising taxes, and the uncertainty about Social Security, he understands. That's why he offers a complimentary retirement second opinion. It's a no-obligation meeting for you to talk about your concerns about retirement. You want to know if you're going to be okay? Let's find out. 610-894-7415 or go online, retirereadyfg.com.
Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriotti, NPN number 2083768.
Someone just asked me over on X, so I'll confirm it. The plan is to have a show next Sunday night, Father's Day. We're going to have a patriarchy appreciation episode of the Matt Rooney Show next Sunday. Yes, I am a father, but for me, Father's Day is a day on, not a day off. And we're going to celebrate all that it is that makes patriarchs like myself so wonderful and fundamentally important to the health and welfare of our great republic. So you have that to look forward to.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to be here.
No, I know you're not going to be here.
It was an awfully long pause.
I said,
just looking at me.
I look. I'm just looking at a great patriarch.
Me?
Yeah, you're a patriarch.
I ain't no daddy.
You don't have to be a daddy to be a patriarch.
You can be a mentor to somebody.
You can be. That's right. Come on, Henry.
They got don't they have those Big Brother programs and or something like that? Or
that's exactly right. There could be some young future leader of this republic out there, Henry, who could benefit from your tutelage, from your example.
I don't think so.
Why don't you give a little bit of yourself, Henry, to the world? Right?
Sometimes I think it's about giving back.
I don't think the world wants me to give myself out.
I think the problem is that 1210 takes too much of him. That's the problem. He leaves here just completely, emotionally bled out.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? I think that's what it is.
I think there's most weeks I come in here, I'm like,
yeah,
man, oh man.
No, I get it. And I definitely
but
don't help on Sunday nights.
I'm good tonight. I'm feeling really great, actually.
Did you get a wrap from Wawa?
No.
That's probably what it is. I think they make you sluggish and docile. Those wraps. You're not revved up after you eat them.
Is that what it is?
It's like turkey on Thanksgiving.
That's right. I look in the booth there, and by the second hour, Henry's got his pants unbuckled. He's watching sports.
I always thought I was working 5 days a week.
A little drool in the corner of his mouth.
And then going hard on the weekends, and then coming in Sunday night being like, I am toast.
That's one of the things that makes the Matt Rooney Show great, right? Because we have these Gen Z producers, generally, who are young and have lives, and they come in here, and they're just completely miserable. Now, Andrew, you have kids, right?
I do. Yeah.
So you're kind of in the same boat as me.
A little bit.
That's a little bit of a different. I don't know if I ever had a producer with children before.
I was about to say that nap that you were talking about on the side of the pool near the water and stuff sounds really good.
Oh, it was delicious. It absolutely was. Yeah. I woke up and I had that moment of confusion.
Right. You're looking around for the kids like, oh my gosh, where are they? Is something wrong? What's the matter?
That's exactly right. Is somebody floating in the pool?
Right.
What happened to me? It was the same sensation as when you get put under for a procedure.
Yes. And
then you wake up and you forget that, I was actually out for 2 hours. So
right.
It was absolutely glorious.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff.
That's all I want. For example, next week, Father's Day, some men want to go golfing or do something elaborate. No, I just want to sleep.
Be nice.
That's all I'm looking for. 855-839-1210 here on the show. Do we have that clip from the Las Vegas rally? So Trump had a massive rally today out in Las Vegas. I think there were probably more people than he had in Wildwood. What you're about to hear, this is a representative of the Las Vegas Police Protective Association endorsing Trump formally for president at the rally. I love this. Listen.
We in law enforcement can't take another 4 years under Joe Biden. We need the support of our national government, our state government. Thank goodness our governor is our former sheriff, Joe Lombardo, in this state. And the last thing I have for you all in the Trump campaign, they don't know this, but right here I hold the official endorsement from the 4,000 commissioned officers of the LVPPA showing our 100% support to the Donald Trump presidency campaign. Thank you all. Please be safe. Trump 2024.
All right. Excellent stuff. I mean, can you imagine, and I work with a lot of police officers. I've had that pleasure now for over a decade of working with a lot of men and women of law enforcement as part of my day job. Can you imagine being a cop in 2024 and not supporting the Republicans in November? I am not one, and regular listeners of this program know this. Also, those of you that read my website, savejersey.com, I'm not someone that constantly apologizes for Republican politicians. There are plenty of Republicans out there who do as much damage to our country and to our states and our communities as Democrats, either through acts of commission or many times omission, their failure to stand up to the left. But, I mean, goodness gracious, the Democrat Party isn't even pretending anymore to care about law and order. And the border is the most egregious example, but only the beginning of it. So I don't think that's the last you're going to hear from a police organization getting behind Donald Trump before November. I think it's probably going to be part of a trend. I expect it to be. Over on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Make sure you give it a like. And you can participate in the comments where things are always lively. Suze Loves Jeffy says, I always tell my family on Mother's Day, I just want to be left alone. And I mean it. Yes, that's exactly right. I don't need the breakfast in bed. I don't need the opportunity to go golf. I don't even need a massage. Don't need any of that stuff. I just want some rest and relaxation. And then once I am fully rested, I will enjoy a meal with my family. But the rest is key. And Henry, one day, if you have little Henrylings, I guess that's what species they would be.
I guess.
I don't know. I'm trying.
Henrylings.
Henrylings? I don't know. What's a small Henry?
I don't want any small Henrys.
You don't want any small Henrys?
No.
Well, we got to have some small Henrys at some
point.
Well,
it's not like, all right. Well, are you saying your kids are small Matts?
Yes, they're Mattlings.
Mattlings?
Roonlings, yes.
Roonlings?
Yes, that's a Roonling.
Little Roonies?
Yes, and if you have more than one, then they're Roonlungs.
That's a thing?
Ugh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like a disease.
You get a cream for it. It's not a big deal. Oh, you don't want kids?
No, I want kids. I just don't want them to be Henrylings or...
I don't mean now. I don't mean you want some young lady to show up down at the desk here at Odyssey and be like, oh, hey, I need to speak to Henry. This is Henry Jr., little dude with a mullet, asking to see his dad. I'm not saying that's the way you want it to play out, but...
No, yeah, I guess eventually.
Eventually, at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I mean, that's going to be the next generation of 1210 producers, right? That's
Hopefully not. Yeah. Keep them far away from this place.
It's a caste system here. Your children will automatically become producers for the program. I hope so. I hope that's the way it works out. 855-839-1210. Well, we just heard a little bit from the Trump rally out in Las Vegas, a formerly blue state that's looking like it's about to turn red in 2024. Another place that many are looking is Virginia. Virginia, which has not gone for the Republican presidential nominee in 20 years now, right? I explained a little bit about why that is, the turnover in Northern Virginia that's occurred over the past 2 decades. We now have a poll suggesting that it could be tied, and I believe Real Clear Politics has now moved Virginia into the toss-up column. Something is happening out there. I don't know what. I don't know how dramatic it's going to be, but there's something different about this election. To elaborate a little bit, somebody that understands the numbers far better than I do, he is the director of the Big Data Poll. He is the host of one of my favorite shows on social media, Inside the Numbers, where he talks about not only his own polling data, but breaks down some of the legacy media and university polls, which, surprise, surprise, are very often flawed, biased, or both. He is over on X at Peoples_pundit. He's one of the people's favorite pundits. What else is there to say? How else can you say it? Rich Barris, welcome back to the Matt Rooney Show. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me, Matt. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you back, and I said it last time you were here, and I mean it now. In a day and age where it seems like the talking heads continue to multiply quicker than the quality increases, I always appreciate the detail which you apply into breaking down these polls, telling us what we should pay attention to, what should be disregarded. I mean, I'll ask you right now. We've got this poll suggesting that Virginia could be tied, that everybody's talking about. Is it reliable? Is it indicative of something happening in the Old Dominion?
You know what I find significant about that poll? The Fox News poll was the most recent one, but pre-verdict, right? Pre-guilty verdict. There was a Roanoke College poll, which everybody kind of bashed. But Roanoke College did very good in 2020. They were a little bit too bullish on Biden, but pretty much right on, a little bit more than 10 points. Both of those polls show that Trump has a better image in Virginia than Biden does, which is insane considering that was one of his worst states when it came to favorability. So, Matt, when you have polls almost back-to-back within 2 weeks, they didn't overlap, pre-verdict, post-verdict, and they both confirm each other, you can't dismiss it. You just can't. So, I'm always skeptical of Virginia for Republicans, but this is real.
Right. Virginia is a heartbreaker for the GOP. It's been close so many times in recent history, but they're not quite able to get there. Although, to be fair, that's often because the GOP nationally doesn't apply the resources necessary to flip Virginia. One thing I'm not sure about, and maybe you've taken a look at it if the data has been produced in any of these Virginia polls, do we get any sense of what's happening geographically in Virginia, which would explain this lurch to the right? We know that Northern Virginia's gotten a lot bluer in recent cycles. Are some of those yuppies, even though they don't want to admit it to their friends, maybe thinking about going for the orange man this time around?
There is a couple of things going on in Virginia. And one is, we call it the Mountain Region or the Shenandoah, which is actually, south and southwest Virginia, which is certainly more Republican. Trump just juices turnout in areas like that beyond anything most Republicans can get. Governor Youngkin, he did a very, very good job for an off-cycle election. And that's something worth noting, is that the ground game there has been grassroots and revamped. And I think that they deserve a lot of credit. Even though they lost the state houses, they won everything that was below Biden plus 12. So, considering it's just a bluer state now, that was actually a pretty good performance. And then when you look at Northern Virginia, that's the heart of this thing, especially in the Fox News poll. There does seem to be educated white men in the suburbs who went for Biden last time, going back to Trump or going to Trump for the first time, because there was a little bit of, obviously, about a 5-point loss in support there for Trump from 16 to 20. And then there's this non-white vote shift, which is huge and real. Both polls, just like everywhere else we're seeing, have Trump. Sampling errors for subgroups are larger, folks, and remember that. But the guy is polling at 20% roughly, on average in every state, nationally, among black voters. And that's a lot of votes. In some of these southern states where there's significant shares of the electorate are African-American, that's just devastating to Democrats. They need every single vote that they're used to getting. And when an election is close like this, and if they lose 15 or 20%, it's a wrap, man. It's a wrap. And some of these states will be a lot closer than people think.
And once again, common theme, right? I worry that it's a tease because almost every cycle we see some polling which suggests that maybe this is finally the year that Republicans break through with the black vote. But this time it seems as if the polling is very consistent that something's happening. Coming up in our next hour, Rich, here in this program, we have a black nominee for Congress in New Jersey, CD1, which is very blue. But I think that we have, out of our 12 congressional districts in New Jersey this year, we have 3 black nominees running. And at least one of those districts, 9, that's Bill Pascrell's district, that was pretty close last time around. So, I'll ask you again, is this trend real? Can we have faith that something's actually happening? And if so, what do you think is happening?
No, I really do. And I think a couple of things, it's a complicated topic, but, I go back and look at our history because there has been a history of overstating support for Republicans among non-whites in general, but especially black voters. And we have a little saying, pollsters have a saying, there's the way black voters poll, and then there's a way the votes are counted, totally different things, right? And it's a little joke, pollsters, because we do our best. But This really is different. It really is, because we went back and looked. In 2016, we had them at 9%. In 2020, we had them at 12.5%. We are not one of those pollsters that overstated Trump's support with black voters or Republicans in general. And I think what's happening, because it's so clear by age, under 50, especially under 45, the vote preference is so different. If they're older, they have a stricter, more solid connection still to the Democratic Party because the civil rights era is still, that memory is still there in their mind. Younger black voters don't have that. what they do have is a real skepticism and some borderline hatred for the system and how it works. And they see what's happening to Donald Trump. And I'm telling you, every time we poll, we hear it. We hear it, unsolicited from these people. And they tell us, between this, it's like now finally, maybe people will see, maybe what the justice system is busted, and it's been busted for a while. And then it's immigration, which kind of couples with the economy with them, and like so many other voters. And, if you're kind of down on the socioeconomic status, ladder, and you're trying to climb your way back up at all, if it seems like you're getting a shaft for someone else, you tend to get mad. And I think there's all of that happening all at once. And again, the age thing is so crystal clear that it can't be ignored. So the younger they are, the more inclined they are to support the former president. And in general, he's doing better than general Republicans. But this is happening to, like across the board. I think Trump will outperform other Republicans, but it still is like something that we can see. It's like, it's easy to bully someone if they're 1 in 10. It gets much harder to bully and shame people for their views when they're 1 in 8 and 1 in 6 and 1 in 5, right? It gets more socially acceptable. And we're seeing this now with age as the civil rights era kind of fades out of their memory and out of existence for them in their experience.
Strength in numbers. There's probably some truth to that. And you also have to appreciate the irony, right? Because the left has perpetrated a tremendous PR assault on our justice system, on law enforcement, starting with George Floyd on forward. Well, it started well before that, but it ramped up to whole new levels with the Black Lives Matters movement. For it now to backfire on them in 2024, and all these folks that have lost faith in our system are now venting that by voting for Donald Trump. There's a lot of heads that are going to explode in November if these trends continue, and I'm all here for it, Rich. It's great. I'm looking forward to watching your election night coverage because I know you'll be talking about it if it comes to fruition.
Absolutely. And you're on to something there. I mean, for years they told us give 2, 3, 4, 5 chances to rapists, to murderers, to this, to that, right? And then normal people get caught up by the system, and they, it's not easy to defend yourself in. So they kind of conditioned us to not take something like a conviction with Alvin Bragg's court all that seriously, right? And now it is backfiring on them. It is. I mean, people hear about it, and they're, so what? Alvin Bragg, yeah. We all know how prosecutors operate, and they blow it off, and it's baked in the cake.
So speaking of our favorite, what is the term now, justice-deprived person, Donald Trump, right? Convicted in New York State with that ridiculous Soviet-style show trial. It doesn't seem like there was much of a bump either way. It doesn't seem as if voters are penalizing Trump for the fact that he's been convicted, probably because it's now just all white noise, or they get the joke and that it's politically motivated. But you also haven't seen a tremendous bump show up in the polling in the other direction yet, right? Is it just that opinions of Trump are so baked in at this point?
I think this race has been remarkably stable for the better part of a year. And I went back and looked at our tracking poll, began before July, the holiday, July 4th, before Independence Day in 2016, and it was released the date. The first results released the date after the holiday. I went back and looked through the Billy Bush era of that, cycle, and the truth is Hillary Clinton got a bigger bump, which was probably just a response bias, right? Noise, statistical noise from people who are a little bit, I don't want to take the poll today because of what happened. But she got a bigger bump than over the Billy Bush tape, which was temporary and worked itself out, ironed out. Then Joe Biden got over this, felony conviction. That's remarkable, but the race has been stable this entire year. And I have to really ask people this. We hear people say, oh, but Rich, it's early, This is the age of information. This is not Herbert Walker Bush versus Michael Dukakis, and nobody knew who Dukakis was. It's not really a comparable example. This race has been stable for a year. So I would ask people, and know everything about these two men. When's it going to change? When is this change going to happen, and what event is going to precipitate it? Right?
Well, that's people the key, right? What could possibly happen at this point to change your opinion of either of these men that hasn't happened already? Right. I'm knocking wood because we know the deep state, there's no level of deprivation they will sink to. So maybe I should keep my mouth shut. But I think, as per usual, you're probably right about all this stuff. We're talking to Rich Barris. I said he's one of my favorites. You can go ahead and find him online over on X at peoples_pundit. You can also head over. The handle is at Big Data Poll. You can also follow Laura Barris, who I'm happy to see is back on X. I think she was serving one of the longest suspensions in history, if memory serves. So I'm glad she finally got out.
Me too. Long overdue. Just a dirty little trick because everybody knows that she handles the media for us, and just a dirty little trick they pulled during the 2020 election. And yeah, it's been all of this time, but she is back. Thank you, Elon, and amen. Overdue, but
Thank you, Elon. Another thing about our modern age, if you had told me 10 years ago that Elon Musk would be the savior of conservative voices online, it keeps getting weirder. And that's why we need people like Rich Barris to try to help us make sense of it. The People's Pundit, we appreciate you joining us, sir. Have to have you back again soon.
Anytime. The pleasure was mine. All the best, Matt.
You too, sir. That's Rich Barris, everyone. You're listening to The Matt Rooney Show on 1210 WPHT. Quick break. Back to round out the hour in just a sec.
Hugs from patients like Patrick. It's something QC Kinetics medical professionals experience every day.
I hugged them. You should hug somebody who does that for you. They gave me my life back, and I really didn't know where I was going to go because I was definitely afraid of having a knee replacement done.
No surgery, no downtime with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. They give patients relief from joint pain using their own healing properties to repair and restore damaged tissue. And the results? Well, that's why we see a lot of hugs at QC Kinetics.
Everything is back that I thought I was never going to be able to do again. I'm still smiling, and sometimes it gets emotional. I get a tear in my eye because of how I was before I went in there.
Those smiles and hugs never get old at QC Kinetics. It means patients are finally getting relief. And now, it's your turn. Call QC Kinetics today for your complimentary consultation and see if you're a good candidate for these amazing treatments.
Call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. That's 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000.
The ride you want is what we've got. So drive a little and save a lot at TurnersvilleJeep.com. Come to Turnersville and get incredible zero-down lease deals on a massive inventory of new Jeeps, Dodges, and Ram trucks. That's right. Save big with zero-down lease deals at Turnersville. The ride you want is what we've got. So drive a little and save a lot. TurnersvilleJeep.com, your premier tri-state Jeep, Ram, Dodge, Chrysler, and Wagoneer dealer.
For more expert appliance shopping advice, here's National Appliance Warehouse's own appliance guru.
Hello, prime grilling season is almost here. I can almost smell the barbecue now. National Appliance Warehouse is ready with a huge inventory of grills from top manufacturers. Today's grills are loaded with features designed to make outdoor cooking easy and fun, and the grilling experts at National Appliance Warehouse will help you navigate them all. Gas, charcoal, or electric. With so many options, it's important to choose a retailer with superior knowledge and customer service to help you select the correct one. National Appliance Warehouse is dedicated to just that. You'll find everything you need for the outdoor kitchen of your dreams, all at the lowest price available, guaranteed, thanks to Price Assure. And to make sure you're all set for that first barbecue, they'll deliver and even assemble most grills.
The Friends and Family Savings Event is underway now at National Appliance Warehouse. Save on a wide selection of grills and barbecue season in style this summer. Click nationalappliancewarehouse.com or visit their showroom in tax-free Wilmington or Middletown, Delaware today.
This Father's Day, show Daddy's love is timeless with a timepiece from Cozy Jewelers in Newtown Square. They have the absolute best selection of Movado watches, as well as fantastic chains and bracelets. Just like your dad, they always take care of you at Cozy. And with any piece from Cozy, you can always count on the 5 C's. That's color, cut, clarity, carat, and cozy. So show Dad how much you appreciate him with the Cozy Touch. Stop by Cozy Jewelers in Newtown Square today, or shop online at CozyJewelers.com and step up to the 5th C.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. Let me tell you about my buddy, Dr. Mike Veneria, the dental implant master. Implant dentistry is an art form, and as one of South Jersey's top implant dentists, Dr. Mike gives you the self-confidence boost you deserve. Schedule your free implant consultation today. Dr. Veneria's office exceeds CDC guidelines and has always maintained the strictest infection control with centralized UV sterilization of airflow to ensure your safety. Locations right over the bridge in Cinnaminson and Woodbury, 856-786-2020 or veneriadental.com.
This is Dr. Marianne Ritchie. Tune in to Your Radio Doctor every Saturday afternoon at 5 here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT for the latest healthcare news and information, because your health is your wealth. That's Your Radio Doctor, Saturdays at 5.
As a roofer, spring means the start of my busy season, which means I've got to get organized. With help from Beacon, I can save time with Beacon Pro Plus and 24/7 access to live pricing, delivery tracking, order history, and more. Plus, this spring, I can earn $1,000 and the chance to win a $25,000 backyard renovation just by buying my CertainTeed shingles online with Beacon. No purchase necessary. Now that's what I call a spring cleanup. Visit BECN.com for official rules and to start earning entries.
Yo, Roy is Ford. What? We know your favorite station is 1210 WPHT. WPHT.
You heard Rich Barris on tonight's Matt Rooney Show talking about how indeed it's real. This isn't a drill. It looks like black voters, particularly young black men, are gravitating towards Trump and the right side of the aisle in 2024. But it's not a new trend. Okay, we've been looking at these polls for months, which tell a familiar story. I went and found this in preparation for tonight's show because I endeavor to try to give you a complete picture. This is a Fox News poll from the end of April. Okay, so a little over a month ago, about a month and a half ago now. And this poll had 18,000 respondents. And the only demographic group where Republicans were not gaining ground or were losing ground, everywhere else they were ahead, pulling ahead, unmarried women. That is the growth group for Democrats, right? And it doesn't take, I think, a lot of imagination to understand why, right? It goes deeper than a row. Many young women in this country, not all, but many, have had it drilled in their heads now for years that, well, look at our current set of circumstances. They are willing to support Joe Biden marching us towards nuclear war, but they are encouraged to reject the nuclear family. Otherwise, they're accused of being insufficiently female. Right? You're somehow a traitor to your gender if you don't support these leftist social priorities. At the same time, and we actually have a little bit on this in the stack tonight, the march of transgenderism continues to threaten to erase women from sports and other arenas, and it's extending beyond sports now. Maryland has now crowned a transgender winner of that state's beauty pageant contest. This is real. Miss Maryland, this is from Breitbart, crowns first transgender winner. I knew it would mean a lot for all the LGBT kids out there. The name of the contestant is Bailey Ann Kennedy. And, of course, even Breitbart kind of beats around the bush here. Bailey is a dude, folks, just to be clear. So a guy has now entered this state beauty pageant contest and taken the crown away from a ton of women that I'm sure work pretty darn hard to do all the things you have to do to compete at that kind of level, right? Imagine all the speeches about planting seeds to grow trees and bringing world peace. All the hard work that went into that for all these contestants. And now, yet again, leftism has put women in an inferior place from that which they started. So, I'm not sure it's going to be any different in 2024 because they've got something against the orange man. They don't like him for reasons we've discussed ad nauseum on this program, which are obvious to all of you. But if you're listening to this program and you are one of those unmarried young women, you're increasingly on an island. You're increasingly on an island politically in this country. And the final results in this upcoming election may ultimately bear that out. I can tell you this much. We started out tonight by talking about my anniversary. I thank God every night that I am not single, not just because I outkicked my coverage in landing Mrs. Rooney, but I don't think I could get a date today, Henry, and it has only somewhat to do with my dad bod, right? Some people actually like the dad bod because they think it means you can feed yourself and them. So it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Is that where that comes from? Is that it? I don't know. That seems kind of wrong.
It seems kind of. Why does it seem kind of wrong?
You can feed yourself and others.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know. That seems
There were
like
times in history where having a little bit of a belly was actually seen as very attractive,
Right.
because food was scarce. And maybe with Joe Biden and inflation, maybe that'll make a comeback, right? You know,
You
look
so
at
you-
Andrew and you're like, oh, look at Andrew. He's got a gut. He can afford to take his family to the zoo. He can bring peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for everyone, even Henry. He's got an extra crustable for Henry.
So we're
That's
really-
going to be incredibly attractive.
We're really heading back to like medieval times. Then.
Well, I don't know about medieval times. I'm thinking more like, 1930s. Great Depression.
1930s.
Yeah.
No. When I think of like what you just said with the whole, being a little heftier is a sign of wealth, I think of like kings, up on their, up in their throne, like eating the whole thing of like mutton.
Oh yeah, like the turkey leg you get at Disney World.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh God, if I was a king, that's all I'd do all day.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
That's something to aspire to. Maybe we'll do that on next week's show, Andrew. Make a note of that. Let's see if we can get some turkey legs. Yeah, he made a note in the air. 855-839-1210. Our number one of the Matt Rooney Show is now in the can. It's history. But fear not, 2 full hours still lie ahead. Let's take a break, pop some popcorn, fill that coffee mug, and we'll be back in just a few.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. As you know, I'm a dad. I got 3 beautiful kids, and I know what dads want for Father's Day. They want memories. They want family time. They want great food. Food around the grill. That's what I love. That's why Omaha Steaks makes it so easy to make dad happy. And you can get packages for dad starting at just $89 when you go to omahasteaks.com and use my promo code Zioli at checkout. That's right. Father's Day is almost here. You got to get cracking on this. Dads don't need another shirt. They don't need another hat. What they want is great steaks. And there are no steaks better than Omaha Steaks because every steak at Omaha Steaks is aged for 28 days. That is how you enhance the steak flavor. Plus, backed by the most unbelievable guarantee in the business. Packages for dads starting at just $89 when you go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code Zioli at checkout. Do it today because Father's Day is almost here and you want to make dad happy. And as a dad, I can tell you we love steak. omahasteaks.com, promo code Zioli.
I'm Peter King. President Biden is back home in Delaware after his D-Day anniversary trip to France. Presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump has been campaigning in Las Vegas. It's his first rally since his conviction.
If we win Nevada, we win the whole thing. We win the whole thing.
A CBS News poll shows Trump and Biden neck and neck in battleground states like Nevada and virtually tied nationally. Immigration, of course, is one of the major issues. While Trump says Biden's recent executive order is meaningless, Homeland Security Chief Alejandro Mayorkas tells ABC's This Week it's working.
It's early. The signs are positive. Our personnel have done an extraordinary job in implementing a very big shift in how we operate on the southern border.
CBS News has learned the former president will participate in a pre-sentencing conference tomorrow via teleconference. CBS's Katrina Kaufman on what's likely to be discussed.
Discuss someone's family background. They'll look at their criminal history. They'll talk about any health issues they have in terms of general and mental health. Normally, they'll ask them about their job situation. Obviously, we know that Trump is running for president in this case.
That heat dome that's been frying the Southwest is moving east. CBS News Philadelphia meteorologist Andrew Kozak.
Once again, excessive heat affecting nearly 20 million people across the desert Southwest. Up to 112 in Arizona. For Vegas and inland California, up to 110. It's all due to this area of high pressure, the heat dome that's driven by the jet stream. That's well to the north. That's to start things off. But by the end of the week, it does shift to the East Coast, giving perhaps some of the hottest temperatures across areas like New York down to D.C. and Baltimore.
Hamas says the death toll is up to 274 after an Israeli attack at a refugee camp that also liberated 4 hostages. The Israelis say the numbers are significantly lower than that. CBS's Chris Livesay.
Apartment buildings now flattened where Hamas had embedded the hostages among Palestinian families. The Israeli military says about 100 were killed or wounded, including Hamas combatants and civilians, a distinction not drawn by the Hamas-run Ministry of Health, who say the dead and injured number nearly 1,000.
Israel's centrist war cabinet member has quit, saying Prime Minister Netanyahu has mismanaged the war. Benny Gantz said he'd quit unless a deal to return all the hostages was made by now. June is Pride Month. Hundreds of people were marching and thousands more attending the Pikes Peak Parade in Colorado Springs, celebrating the LGBTQ plus community. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
2 guys drove to work. Neither guy wore a seatbelt. One guy got a ticket. One guy didn't. The same 2 guys drove home. One guy wore a seatbelt. One guy didn't. One guy made it home. The guy not wearing his seatbelt didn't. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
Who doesn't love classic cars? CBS's Stephen Kaufman has a few of his own and gives us a look from one of the country's biggest and best classic car shows.
One of nearly 600 classic and antique vehicles displayed at the Williams, Arizona Route 66 car show. Automotive enthusiast Mike Kinney says it's a hobby like no other.
If you are 17 years old or 77 years old in the world of the car hobby, we both speak a language we understand and respect.
The hobby is an instant friend maker.
I don't care if you're driving a 1912 Hupmobile or a 2024 Corvette. You have something in common. You got tires on the car. You got engine. You talk about all the stuff you're going to bolt on and make it your own.
But Kinney adds the hobby doesn't come cheap.
Look at your budget and multiply it by at least 2 or maybe 5, and then you should be okay.
Stephen Kaufman, CBS News, Williams, Arizona.
And I'm Peter King, CBS News.
2 guys drove to work. Neither guy wore a seatbelt. One guy got a ticket. One guy didn't. The same 2 guys drove home. One guy wore a seatbelt. One guy didn't. One guy made it home. The guy not wearing his seatbelt didn't. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Live and local with Matt Rooney. On Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Welcome back, old friends, new frenemies, and all who lie elsewhere in between on the spectrum that is life. I am indeed Matt Rooney. This is the Matt Rooney Show, coming to you live every Sunday night, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 1210 WPHT. It's my honor and privilege to be here with you on Sunday evening to break down the week that has now left us by, to prepare you for the week ahead. That's what we do around here. We do it better than anyone else in the business. That's a claim you can take to the bank. 855-839-1210 is the number here at the station should you wish to call in and participate if you have something worthy for class. You can also head over to YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT, where you can not only watch as well as listen, but you can go ahead and participate in the comment section, where right now they're talking about food, I think. I hope they're talking about food, and it's not innuendo for something else. You really can't tell with the 1210 WPHT YouTube mob, because they can take things in very, very interesting directions. Yeah, Andrew, see, you haven't even really been here that long, and you're nodding because you've already seen it.
Yeah, a little bit.
They're sick people, and I mean that in a loving way, guys. You know that.
The most
I mean that as a
loving way
compliment.
possible.
Yes. You're very, very sick in the head.
There are producers here who get very worried about the chat.
They get worried about the chat?
Of course.
What? Free market, guys.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not one of them.
Let the crazy out.
Yeah.
You know?
I got to learn the
Go
ropes
nuts.
about what to worry about and what not to worry about.
I mean, here's how I look at it. It's safer that they're all here, right, than out on the streets wreaking havoc, right?
True.
I've got them all one place. This is like from Batman, this is Arkham Asylum, right? Oh, we got everybody right here, right now.
Better here than out there.
That's right. That's right. So check us out over on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Go ahead, give us a like, please. I think if we get to a certain number, Stalker gives us parking validation or something. I'm not sure. I still haven't received mine, and it's been...
Yeah, don't expect it. Don't expect it.
I know better than that.
Yeah, come on.
The Matt Rooney Show, I think, started in 21, so we're going to be 3 years in July.
Wow.
Does that sound right?
I don't know. It was
Check
college.
Check that out. You were in college. Henry wasn't born yet when the Matt Rooney Show started. Don't try to figure out the math, right? It's too complicated. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do something for our 3-year celebration, right? I mean, many people don't stay married that long.
Yeah, I mean, get a cake in here.
Get a cake? Yeah, that works. Maybe we'll get producer Phil to jump out of it or
I was
something
just
like
gonna
that.
say something like that.
Yeah, it's the best we can. That's the
That's
best.
a little more PG.
We'll show that over on the YouTube page. That's a benefit of subscribing. Get to see Phil come out of the cake.
I'm gonna have to pay him a little extra for that.
See, the worst part today is I was down the shore. I mentioned this weekend, and I think mold is what gets me. Everybody's got like a different allergy. I didn't get allergy 7 years ago. It's like a new thing that's happened. So now whenever I laugh, I cough and I sound like a chain-smoking diner waitress. So you're going to get a lot of that tonight.
Hi, hon. How are you?
Yeah. Would you like your hash browns well done? Exactly. So I'd hit the cough button again.
Yeah.
So I just don't want you to worry. I don't have long COVID. I don't have the latest Fauci lab-produced virus. Just a little touch of allergies there. You know?
You think it's the mold?
I think it's mold. That's what I think it is. Because it happens when I go to the beach. And that's what they have down there. They have mold. It's not going to stop me from going to the beach. All right, let's move on and talk about something consequential. We've talked quite a bit about Donald Trump's legal woes. I think things actually might be heading in an interesting direction concerning the New York City conviction, which came down last week. I won't talk about this ad nauseum because I was on Rich Zioli's show talking about it on Friday. I was actually on Rich's show as it broke. News that there was a social media message which could result in Donald Trump's verdict getting thrown out. In case you missed it, Zach Smith of Heritage Foundation, who was actually on the Matt Rooney show last week, is one of our favorites, former assistant U.S. attorney. He wrote about it. The judge notified the parties on Friday that someone, I'm not even sure they've confirmed who it is, posted on the New York court system social media page prior to the verdict coming down. That's the key. Prior to the verdict coming down. And this is the exact quote. My cousin is a juror and says Trump is getting convicted. And we have the letter here, which was sent to counsel by Juan Merchant, the judge in the Trump New York City case, with his ratty little goatee that I hate so much. It looks like something crawled onto his lip and died there, and is now turning white. It's hideous, right? I know some of you think it's not nice to pick on people for their appearance, especially when I look the way I do, but come on, it's fun. Did you hear Trump call Adam Schiff watermelon head last week?
Did.
That made my week.
That was funny.
And his head does look like a watermelon. So it's fair game. But this is significant, right? So just to break this down as we progress forward here, we don't know at this point whether this is legit, right? It could be random. It could not be random. But if they investigate this, and they are already, I'm certain, investigating this, and it's legitimate, that means that there is I would say, a better than not chance that the verdict is going to get set aside, right? Because the jury, right, was therefore, at least somebody on the jury was communicating with outside third parties pertaining to their deliberations. And that's, I don't think you have to be a lawyer for me to explain why that's a big problem. Zach Smith, again, he was on the show last week. You can follow him at TZ Smith, pointed out that back in 2019, the highest court in New York, their version of the Supreme Court, set aside, or upheld, I should say, the setting aside of a murder conviction because a juror had texted about the trial during the trial. So there's precedence for this. So the Trump conviction in New York already had more holes in it than Swiss cheese. This could be the final death knell for the result of that ridiculous communist show trial that the state of New York put on in the interest of convicting Donald Trump, setting aside basic legal principles like, hey, listen, if we're going to say that somebody committed a crime and convict them as a result of it, maybe it should be unanimous. That didn't happen in the New York case. So all of that has continued to unfold. Meanwhile, lest we forget, there is another high-profile political name currently on trial, Hunter Biden. And guess what we confirmed this week? We already knew it, but now it's a matter of court record. The laptop was real, folks. The laptop was real. We were all gaslit during the 2020 election when we were told that it was just a conspiracy that Hunter Biden's laptop existed. You actually, and more on this in a second, you were penalized on social media if you attempted to share the story. Given how close the 2020 election was and polling that suggested that that story could have changed certain voters' preferences between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, it's a good chance that the suppression of that laptop story actually changed the course of American history. Donald Trump could have won had that story come out and been allowed to circulate online, and they did not pretend that the laptop did not exist. No one put it better than Miranda Devine on Fox News over the weekend. This is cut, let's see. Numbers are hard, even though I give all these things numbers. This is cut number 10, guys. Do we have that one? This is Miranda Devine summing up, I think, how many of us feel on Fox Business concerning the mysterious laptop, which ain't so mysterious anymore.
There was the laptop, the silver MacBook 13 Pro, sitting in the courtroom, being held aloft by the prosecutor, being shown to an FBI agent to identify as Hunter Biden's laptop that was, as in her words, abandoned at a local computer repair store, just as we said almost 4 years ago. And all the conspiring that went on to bury that and to traduce anybody who talked about it as a Russian agent. Joe Biden himself stood up at a debate with Donald Trump and he said it was a Russian plant. That was the laptop, a Russian plant. It's nothing but garbage. We had 51 former intelligence officials who manufactured a lie, saying that the laptop and every report from it in the New York Post was Russian disinformation. So all of those people have escaped consequences up to now. And I think that the fact that that laptop is now government exhibit number 16 in Hunter Biden's trial in Wilmington should just put the nail in the coffin of that pretense. Even though, I mean, hilariously, Abby Lowell, even on Thursday, was trying to put some distance between the laptop and the hard drive and the evidence in court. And the judge just hit that on the head. She said, no, I'm sick of this. You're talking about a laptop, a hard drive, an iCloud. It's too confusing. You have to understand the laptop/hard drive is the same thing. The hard drive is just an image of the laptop. So
that's right, Miranda Devine.
This ridiculous pretense.
It's a ridiculous pretense. That's exactly what it was. But they can't hide behind that pretense anymore because it's now reality. As Miranda said, it's now been introduced into evidence in the federal prosecution of Hunter Biden. And just to remember, because if you're listening to this show, I think there's a good chance that you believe in the deep state. The deep state is real. Let's rewind. Okay? This is Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg, in the aftermath of the 2020 election, hanging out with Joe Rogan, explaining how allegedly after this conversation that his organization had with the FBI, they decided to play with their algorithm and push down, limit distribution of the Hunter Biden laptop story in the lead up to the election. Criminal then, criminal now. This is cut number 11. Listen.
So we took a different path than Twitter. Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert. There was we thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant. So our protocol is different from Twitter's. What Twitter did is they said you can't share this at all. We didn't do that. What we do is we have if something is reported to us as potentially misinformation, important misinformation, we also have this third-party fact-checking program because we don't want to be deciding what's true and false. And for I think it was 5 or 7 days when it was basically being determined whether it was false, the distribution on Facebook was decreased, but people were still allowed to share it. So you could still share it, you could still consume it.
So when you say the distribution is decreased,
it got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less. So fewer people saw it than would have otherwise. So it definitely.
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful. But basically
it's meaningful. I don't know how much we suppressed it, but we suppressed it. And keep in mind, this is allegedly as a result of a conversation with the FBI, right? So now that we know what we know, we suspected it before, now we know it for sure. Does anybody doubt that the Department of Justice decided to present this as Russian information, disinformation, in order to spike a story that was potentially damaging to the Biden campaign? Of course not. That's obviously what happened here. And social media companies went right along with it. Again, can't deny it anymore because the laptop's now been introduced into evidence. But you got to keep your head on a swivel as we head into election 2024. What do you think they might have up their sleeve this time around? If you think they're done, you haven't been paying attention. 855-839-1210 is the number. Quick break. Back with more on the Matt Rooney Show in a moment.
Tired of hearing scary ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. We may be able to significantly reduce and even eliminate what you owe to the IRS. Taxpayers should know. Huge savings are now being made available through the Fresh Start program that can drastically reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. Even if you haven't filed your taxes in years or are facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, or under audit, we can help. We've earned over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today. To see what savings you may qualify for, visit us online at TRA.com or call us at 800-511-0379. 800-511-0379. Again, that's 800-511-0379. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Did you know you can stream Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app? Just download the free Odyssey app and search for Fox News Radio to hear the voices you trust. Brian Kilmeade.
Why are we so scared of Iran thinking that we're at war with them?
Guy Benson.
Get the bleep out of here. It's disgusting.
Jimmy Fallon.
Then this administration rolled into town with a checkbook.
Are all on the free Odyssey app. From the news and talk to keep you informed and up to date during election season. Listen to Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY.
Pastor Brad Lacey here, First Baptist Church, Conshohocken. Join us Saturdays for the great message and be blessed. 5 a.m. right here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Don't miss Good News in Real Estate with Deanne Katsaros and Mark Cumberland, Saturdays at 1 p.m. Find out all you need to know about home buying and selling. Considering a career in real estate? Visit PhiladelphiaRealEstateClasses.com. Good News in Real Estate, Saturdays 1 p.m. on WPHT.
Are you tired of dealing with those old, inefficient windows in your house? Well, maybe it's time to go Guida. How about that drafty, beat-up-looking entry door you've painted over more times than you can count? Well, go Guida. Need added protection from the elements with a new storm door? Go Guida. And what about that sliding patio door or garage door you've been meaning to replace? Go Guida. Whatever your home improvement needs are, I suggest you go Guida with the great people at Guida Door and Window. To help you get your project started, Guida is offering 20% off all windows and doors while allowing you to start your project with no money down and up to 3 full years to pay it off interest-free. That's right. Receive 20% instant savings with the luxury of paying off your project interest-free for up to 36 months. Restrictions apply, offers for a limited time, so what are you waiting for? It's time you finally go Guida. Call today to schedule a free in-home estimate at 1-877-GO-GUIDA or visit them at GoGuida.com. That's go, GUIDA.com.
Two legends, one can. Jack and Coke, the #1 cocktail in the world, is now available in a can. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey mixed with Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola Zero Sugar are available in a can. Is there any better time than summer grilling season for a cold Jack and Coke? Jack and Coke in a can, born for the backyard. Available at your local PA Fine Wine and Good Spirits store. Go to finewineandgoodspirits.com. Please drink responsibly.
Whiskey Specialty, 7% ABV. Jack Daniel Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Jack Daniels and Old No. 7 are registered trademarks of Jack Daniels Properties, Inc. Coca-Cola is a trademark of the Coca-Cola Company.
Dawn Stensland here for my friends at Anderson Mechanical Corporation, AMC. Yeah, they want to make sure your AC blows that cool air you'll need when summer temperatures are here. The owners, Carrie and Bill, take great pride in doing things the right way. Take advantage right now of their spring tune-up special. You'll receive a 15% discount off your spring maintenance and 1 year of free maintenance with a replacement system. Call them today, amcontheweb.com, amcontheweb.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Don't miss the Education Show with Dom Giordano every Sunday morning at 5:30. Find out how you can help your child or grandchild succeed. Sponsored by New Hope Academy.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
The Phillies split the London series against the New York Mets after losing 6-5. Centrist Benny Gantz resigns from Israel's war cabinet and accuses Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of mismanaging the Gaza conflict. People celebrate the 49th annual Odun Day Festival on South Street.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Hey, Warminster, we know your favorite station is WPHT.
Tell your smart speaker to play 1210 WPHT.
There's a request from the 1210 WPHT mob over on YouTube, guys. They want side questions. They are not content with the level of interaction on the program. So you got to come up with something. I can't hear you, Henry, for some reason. Why is that?
My mic wasn't up on the board.
Ah, okay.
There we go. What is this, Dom show?
That's exactly what they said. They want a side question like
No.
Dom show.
No, that's his thing. If you guys want something like that, please, by all means, suggest something, but not, something someone already else does on the station.
With the notable exception of John Cole, those of you who've been listening to the show now for almost 3 years, every single one of my producers has bossed me around, right? Like I make a suggestion or I say, hey, guys, maybe we should give the audience what they want. I get shot down immediately, and I have no spine. I'm not going to stand up to Henry. I haven't decided yet how scary Andrew is. So we're gonna tease that out here.
It's the job. We got to boss around a little bit. Don't want to do it.
Well,
but if I don't do it, then someone else emails me saying, "Why didn't you do that? What's wrong with you?" So
here's how I prefer to look at it, Henry. A hallmark of leadership is I have to be willing, despite my tremendous level of talent and skill at doing this, to be redirected when I might be wrong. Right? When you have input, when Andrew has input, when anyone has input that's been doing this for a while, hey, Matt, maybe this is a bad idea. I have to at least consider that. Now, maybe we could come up with something. Could we do a, I don't know, maybe it's not a question. Could we do a poll? Like, Should Henry procreate eventually? Should Henry, is it a good idea for humanity for Henry to have kids? Maybe that's a better way to put it. Should Andrew invite Henry the next time he takes his family to the zoo?
You can narrate and introduce different animals and
yes.
I haven't been to the zoo in a long time.
Yeah. Should Matt and Andrew and Henry do a live from the Cape May Zoo? I'd listen to that. Here's some cockatoos in the background.
I don't think Odyssey would jump at that.
You don't think they jump at that?
They barely jumped at you getting you an ID to get in the building.
That's true. My ID still doesn't let me in the building.
There you go.
At least now they know that I'm not an intruder, so they see the badge and they all get the joke. They're like, oh yeah, there's the host that can't get into the building under his own power, and they let me in. For the longest time, I had to wait down in the lobby like a naughty schoolboy who had been sent to the principal's office until someone, producer Dan, Henry, whoever, would come down and rescue me. So at least we're now past that. 855-839-1210 is the number here on the program. Write it down, put it on your arm, save it to your phone. I was talking about Hunter Biden's trial before the break, and I forgot that I had this clip. We got to play this one. Gretchen Whitmer, who looks like an evil Disney queen. I think if she had a look, that's how you would describe it. She just looks like a wicked stepmother. She must have emerged from the womb looking like that. There's no one like her in politics. She's also one of the Democrat governors, along with Phil Murphy and former Governor Cuomo of New York, who were responsible for a disproportionate number of nursing home deaths during the pandemic. Their policies resulted in the deaths of thousands. So I am no fan of Gretchen Whitmer, nor should you be. She was on CNN over the weekend, and this is so great. She gets asked by the host about Hunter Biden's case, the criminal trial, which is currently ongoing as we speak, and amazingly, her connection goes out. Isn't that convenient? Listen to this. That's cut. Which cut is that?
And possessing a firearm while under the influence of illegal drugs. I want to turn to a very different trial, and that is one that is going on in Delaware with the president's son, Hunter Biden. He is on trial for obtaining and possessing a firearm while under the influence of illegal drugs, which was against the law. Republican Lindsey Graham says that an average American would not have been prosecuted
Dana, are you there?
for this. Yes, Governor, can you hear me? Did you just drop my feed? Okay, it sounds like the governor can't hear me. You know what? We're going to take a very quick commercial break and get this fixed, and we'll be right back. Don't go.
We want to ask you a question about Hunter Biden. Huh? What? Dana, can you hear me? I can't hear you. It's like when Henry pretends not to hear me. Who do these people think they're fooling? It's unbelievable.
The dial tone in the background was a nice touch.
The dial tone was a nice touch, right? The only thing missing was a staffer pretending that there's a storm, right? Like, crinkling some cellophane.
Spritzing a water bottle, too.
That's right. We got a squall up here in Michigan. Sorry we can't hear you, CNN. It's wonderful at some level to watch these people implode under the weight of their lies and their corruption and all the things that they've done to the American people and to this great country over the course of the past few to several years. But of course, they're still in power. They still control the balance of power in Washington, D.C. So it's also scary to think about how much power someone like Gretchen Whitmer or Joe Biden still have as we march towards November. Speaking of marching towards November, I'm going to make an attempt, as I have in past cycles, to have as many candidates from the Delaware Valley on this program as I possibly can. And now that's for a few reasons, one of which I think is fairly obvious, right? That it's of public interest. You, the listener of the Matt Rooney Show, 1210 WPHT, are going to go out there, either with your vote by mail ballot or in person, and perhaps vote for some of these folks in just a few short months. So wouldn't it be nice to have someone like me, a verified broadcast professional, ask them some questions to see whether or not they warrant your support, right? Also, I think it's a great way to keep tabs on what's happening out there in the field. I will tell you that even though we talk about politicians being out of touch, and that's often the case, when you're running for office, and I've never run for office, but I've run plenty of campaigns in the past. I've worked on campaigns. There's no way to stay in touch with your fellow citizen quite like knocking on doors. I remember when I was knocking on doors for George W. Bush back in 2004 in Pennsylvania, in Ohio. I had people threaten to shoot me. I had one woman want to invite me in to stay for dinner so she could introduce me to her daughter. I was much cuter and thinner back then. You get a ton of reactions that obviously fall somewhere in between, but you get a sense of what people actually care about. Not what I care about, not what CNN cares about, not what the media and the beautiful people tell you should care about, right? What actually matters to the American people. So those candidates, maybe sometimes that changes when they win, but for that short span of time, they're arguably closer to the people than anyone because they're daily engaged in a focus group as they interact with likely voters. So without further ado, let's talk to one of those candidates who was successful in last Tuesday's New Jersey Republican primary. He is running in New Jersey's 1st congressional district, which takes in portions of Camden and Gloucester counties. He is a West Point graduate, a former United States Army captain. He's an attorney. Don't hold it against them. You don't hold it against me. And he's hoping to dethrone Donald Norcross, brother of George Norcross, the title name behind one of the most infamous political machines, not just in New Jersey history, but nationwide. I remember in college talking to one of my politics professors telling me, oh, yeah, you live up in New Jersey. That's Norcross territory, right? It's infamous in all 50 states. Can he dethrone Donald Norcross? Let's find out. Teddy Liddell, welcome to the Matt Rooney Show. Appreciate you joining us. How are you, sir?
Hey, Matt, I am doing absolutely fantastic. It is so great to hear from you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I don't know if you heard my run-up to bringing you on air this evening, but I talked about how many doors you have to knock on, how many people you interact with, how as a candidate, you've got no choice if you're doing it correctly. You're close to the people. So why don't you tell our 1210 audience, Teddy, as you're out there knocking doors in Camden and Gloucester counties, what is it that voters are fussed about? What are they talking about? What do they care about?
Yes, I have started knocking on doors ever since I decided to put my name in the hat and run in this race. I got to thank all those supporters and friends of mine who have helped me win this race. I am still in awe of this wonderful win. And when I knock on those doors, people are concerned about two things, Matt. They're concerned about securing our border, and they're concerned about securing their pocketbook, their wallets, their bank accounts. The issue is that we're all struggling, and yet we seem to have these America last policies which do not benefit us. That's what they're concerned about, and I'm here to fix it. I will win in November.
You say you're going to win in November, and I certainly hope you do. You've got a tough fight ahead of you. It's a district that's been very blue for a long time. I think the last Republican congressman from CD1 was John Hunt, from my fellow longtime New Jersey politics watchers. It's been quite some time. He got unseated by a certain governor of New Jersey named Florio, who some of you will remember because he tried to tax toilet paper. But it definitely seems like something's happening out there. Teddy, we're on the radio. We can't see you, so I'll tell listeners. One of the many things about you that makes you you is you are black. You are a black American running in a blue district. And I told Rich Barris, who was on here earlier this evening, a pollster, that I believe in New Jersey we have 3 black Republicans this year running for Congress, right? Yourself, Darius Mayfield, and then also Billy Prempe up in the 9th running against Bill Krastel. That's historic. Something's happening out there. Can you shed some light on this for us? Are you in the avant-garde of a movement? Are black voters finally moving back to the Republican Party? And if it's real, why do you think it's happening?
Yes, it is real. And yes, they are finally moving back to the Republican Party. I got to tell you, the Republican Party, as everyone knows, has supported African Americans in terms of, Abraham Lincoln, in terms of everything that's been done. But I think what's happening now is that people see that underneath the past administration with Trump, the African Americans have done quite well in terms of their, economy, in terms of opportunity, and that's not here now. Everyone is concerned about making sure they can put a plate of food on their table. They could find jobs, and it's a struggle. And so I think people are saying, I don't want what we have now. What we need is more opportunity, and that is what we can get with a Trump administration.
And I would think that that's a message that a year like this should find some fertile soil in a place like CD1. Full disclosure, I'm a CD1 voter, folks. I have plenty of candidates on this show, not just from my home state of New Jersey, but around the country. This is a rare example. I'm talking to someone who I get to cast a ballot for this year. There are, even though it's very blue, plenty of working class towns in that district, Teddy. I know you know this, where I would think Donald Trump's message should be popular this year. Are you finding, as you knock on doors and you interact with voters, that maybe there's some Democrats and independents that voted for Joe Biden last time but are willing to give the Trumpster a chance now?
Yeah, while I was running for the primary, I had people come up to me and actually they say, I'm a Democrat, but I'm going to change my party today so I can vote for you in the primary. That's what happened. I had voters change their parties to actually vote for me. And on top of that, there's an excitement, there's an enthusiasm in the air. I like to say, while people may consider my campaign a campaign, this is really the beginning of a movement. I think that people are excited. For the first time in a long time, they're excited about a candidate who cares about them, who wants to listen to their voices, who is upright, who will do the right thing, and that is Teddy Liddell. And that's why I urge everyone to go to my website, Teddy Liddell for Congress. Please check me out, volunteer, donate, but we're in this race to win it.
Now, the question of the hour, right? You correct me if I'm wrong here. Even though there's some very important issues, inflation's one of them. You've talked about that, the affordability problem. Internationally, there are many points of concerns on the globe for not just New Jerseyans, but Americans writ large. We're weaker than we've ever been. Many of the average voters I get to interact with in my daily life, friends and family, are talking about these prosecutions of Donald Trump. I think the gig is up and the joke is out that they're show trials. Is that something you plan to lean into as you campaign across CD1? Because as a former Army officer, you had to take an oath to uphold and defend the United States Constitution. That's not happening in our courtrooms.
Yeah, and that's just so sad. About 3 weeks ago, I attended a United States Military Academy graduation at West Point. As you know, as you said, I'm a West Point graduate. I have 6 years in the Army as an Army officer, retiring resigning my commission as a captain. And I got to tell you, when I sat in those stands this Saturday, 3 weeks ago, tears started coming to my eyes. And the reason why is because, yes, indeed, the 1,025 cadets there took an oath to protect, serve, and defend our country and the Constitution. And the reason why I got tears in my eyes is because, guess what? These people are ready. Our country is in good hands. And what I believe is that in Washington, D.C., that is what is missing. That's exactly the reason why I'm running, because I think that we should have more people in office who will show selfless service and be public service, true public service, and do the right thing. And that's what I intend on doing, and that's why I will win this race.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that we had a Democrat say, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That Democrat Party is dead, right? It's long gone now. So hopefully you are the start of something, Teddy. I mean, again, you would be my congressman, so I hope more than anyone else that what's happening out there is real and that a wave comes crashing down in November. You gave us your website. Give it to us one more time and tell us how we can find you on social media if someone was listening to this interview and says, you know what, he's someone I want to rally behind and help.
Yes, my website is teddyliddellforcongress.com. You can volunteer. You can donate. I'm excited about this campaign. Together, we will win this campaign, and you will have a voice with me. I'm just asking for your vote. Again, don't forget, Teddy Liddell for Congress. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for coming out and joining us here. And for, I have to tell you, for your bravery. I, being a conservative, Teddy, am not someone that thinks that the color of somebody's skin is the totality of their character. Quite the opposite. That's something we know the other side believes. Yep. But being a Camden County Republican, being in South Jersey, I know how awful and vicious they are, especially to black Republicans and black conservatives. It's no small thing for you to take this on, especially in Machine County. So I want to thank you not only for your service in the military, but for your service right now. Speaking truth to power in our backyard and standing up to this machine and this vile Democrat Party, which has not only been terrible for opportunity in the black community, but for Americans writ large. So stay courageous. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Hey, let me tell you, character and truth knows no color, and that's why I'm in this race.
Beautiful. That sounds like a yard sign to me. Teddy Liddell, thank you for joining us on the Matt Rooney Show. Keep in touch.
All right. Thanks so much. Take care.
You're listening to the Matt Rooney Show. Quick break. Back with more. Don't move a muscle.
If you want jazz music, go to New Orleans. Bagels, New York. And for psychics, think California Psychics. You want the best, you go to the best. At California Psychics, home of free spirits and open minds, we know better than anyone what makes a good psychic. That's why we guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com and experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
Your 401k goes up and down. That's fine when you're 40, but not when you're 60. Find out how to protect your hard-earned money. Tune in to the Retirement Spectrum with Alan Cohen, Saturdays at 3 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
A tasty new game is coming your way. Test your skills in Kirby's Quick Run at Tastykake.com. Help Kirby the Crimpet collect all of the Tasty Cake treats. Play now to enter our sweepstakes for a chance to win exclusive prizes. Increase your chances of winning by playing every day. And don't forget to celebrate National Crimpet Day on July 7th by snagging some limited edition confetti crimpets in stores now. Tasty Cake, accept no substitutes.
Get bonus days to save during Window Nation's semi-annual sale now through June 30th. Get 50% off all windows, along with no interest for 5 years. Plus a bonus 10% savings when you schedule an estimate. If your inefficient windows are costing you too much for air conditioning, that's a big deal. Now during Window Nation's semi-annual sale, you can replace them and save a big deal too. Offer ends June 30th, so schedule your in-home estimate now. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com.
I'm a dad, as you know, and I know what my dad wants for Father's Day, so I'm the expert when it comes to this. Hey, it's Rich Zioli. Here's how you make Dad very, very happy this Father's Day. Omaha Steaks. Packages starting at just $89 when you go to omahasteaks.com and use my promo code ZEOLI at checkout. ZEOLI. Father's Day's almost here. You got to get cracking on this, all right? You can pick from premium proteins like juicy pork chops, air-chilled chicken, beefy burgers, and obviously the best steaks out there. Endless flavor, endless variety, and endless value. omahasteaks.com. Promo code ZEOLI at checkout. That's how you get the packages starting at $89. And you don't want to wait on this. And trust me, Dad does not want anything else but this amazing food. Because he can have the family around the grill. We love to grill. Makes us feel like a guy, manly, you know what I mean? So do it today. Just go to omahasteaks.com. Packages starting at $89 when you go to omahasteaks.com and use my promo code ZEOLI at checkout. omahasteaks.com. Hey, it's Rich Zioli. Let me tell you about my buddy, Dr. Mike Veneria. Great guy. Whether you're looking for pediatric, general, cosmetic, or implant dentistry, look no further. Dr. Veneria and his award-winning team, they have your whole family covered, just like mine. Dr. Veneria's office exceeds CDC guidelines and has always maintained the strictest infection control with centralized UV sterilization of airflow to ensure your safety. Locations right over the bridge in Cinnaminson and Woodbury, 856-786-2020 or veneriadental.com.
35% of crash deaths in Pennsylvania involve drivers under the influence. Drunk, high, buzzed, wasted. Whatever you are, don't become a statistic. Make a plan to get home safe. Designate a driver, ride share, or stay the night. Be safe, PA. Visit pendot.pa.gov/safety for more. Substance use disorder treatment is available. Call 1-800-662-HELP or find a treatment facility at treatmentatlas.org.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Hi, this is Joe Mederchik, PNC Bank Regional President. Down the corner, around the block, and maybe even in your parking lot, PNC continues to bring banking services closer to your door. Greater Philadelphia is now one of 10 regions where we've permanently introduced the PNC Bank mobile branch. This bank on wheels can be seen rolling up to community organizations across the Delaware Valley. On site and by your side, the PNC Mobile Branch is part of our commitment to supporting communities that need it most. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Smokey the Bear. After 80 years of learning his wildfire prevention tips, Smokey Bear lives within us all. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com. And remember,
only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Don't let them silence you. Follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
I gotta tell you, I've probably have interviewed, 500 candidates. Either at my website, savejersey.com, collectively through 1210 WPHD, over the course of the past decade and a half. I love Teddy's energy. Teddy Lydell, he's running in CD1 this year against the Democrat machine. He has optimism that I hope is infectious. And there are days when you're a Republican, especially in a blue state like New Jersey, living under King Philip the Unaccountable, as our friend Rich Zioli calls him, where it's easy to lose hope. It's nice to hear candidates continue to put themselves on the line to fight the bad guys, right? Teddy's a great example. He's a black Republican. He is going to be savaged by the Democrats if he gets close, because we know that Democrats they look down on most of their voters. right? They think that they have an entitlement to their support. But black Republicans are treated as less than. And I'm putting it in a very not as bad as I could way, right? That's how Democrats treat black Republicans. They look at them as traitors. They treat them as if they're stupid, as if they are missing the joke. Speaking of bad jokes, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Chelsea Handler, who I think is one of the least funny people in comedy, right? She's one of those comedians who substitutes coarseness and ideology for true wit. So, if you're a fellow bore, I guess you find her funny. She never really does much for me. She is a little twisted over 50 Cent recently coming out, Fitty, as Henry calls him, coming out and saying positive things about Donald Trump. I don't know if there was a formal endorsement from the candy shop artist.
I know he said something last week. I didn't really look into it.
I don't know if it was just positive or if it was an actual endorsement. I know there's a lot of people waiting around for 50 Cent's endorsement.
Come out on stage with them.
Right. But it's a sign of things to come, right? We've been talking about it this hour. Well, Chelsea Handler, I don't know if she was trying to be this condescending, but congratulations, you got there. This is cut number 5.
And I had to remind him that he was a black person, so he can't vote for Donald Trump, and that he shouldn't be influencing an entire swath of people who may listen to him because he's worried about his own personal pocketbook.
What a vile woman, right? You can't vote for Donald Trump because you're black. What? What? Someone has to vote a certain way because of the shade of their skin? And what has Joe Biden done for black America? What have any Democrat done for black America? I'm broadcasting tonight from Philadelphia, right? A heavily black city. What has endless decades, consecutive decades of Democrat governance done for black Philadelphians? Not much, other than turn this city into a drug-infested, lawless shooting gallery, where you have to say, you know what? In some of these neighborhoods, if you were born into them, your chance of escaping that neighborhood and achieving any semblance of the American dream, it's next to zero. That's the Democrat legacy. That's the one that Chelsea Handler wants to racistly, yes, I said it, racistly and condescendingly demand that 50 Cent and other black Americans continue to adhere to. What? I can't. You want to talk about privilege? Let's talk about privilege for a second as we wind down this hour. Privilege is not, hey, I have been successful or I've achieved things. I must deny those opportunities to other people. Right? That's what the left really is talking about when they say that someone's privileged. You worked hard, or you were born into a position where maybe you were on second or third base, right, instead of first. And that instead of expanding opportunities to others, you are now seeking to join them in destroying the system that allows for that social mobility. Now, to me, my privilege is not the color of my skin. My privilege is that I was born into a good family. I had a good mom, a good dad. They're still with us. I shouldn't put it in past tense. If they're listening, they're still here and they're healthy. Thank goodness. And that I was imparted, right? They imparted upon me the right values, work ethic, belief in God, belief in the importance of family. I've now gone out and worked hard, and I am trying to, along with my wife, impart those same values on my kids. That is the privilege that I have. That's the privilege that my kids are going to have. So I should then deny that to other Americans? It's never made any sense to me at all. I can't understand the Chelsea Handlers of the world. The only thing I can think is they're just wicked and miserable people that want everyone else to be as unhappy as they are. I don't know enough about Chelsea Handler other than her ridiculous public pronouncements to guess at why she's so miserable. I mean, there's uglier people, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe she was rejected by someone at some point in her past. but stop trying to destroy the America that gave you, Chelsea Handler, the opportunities that you have.
Well, she was rejected by 50 Cent. That's her ex.
Was it? Oh, did they go out?
Yeah.
See, Andrew, I'm gonna tell you something right now. One of the mainstays of the Matt Rooney Show is that I am. What's the PC way of saying this, Henry? I am pop culture challenged.
You live under a rock?
Yes.
Culturally illiterate?
Yes, exactly. Cultural history for me, I stay up with current events, politics and government and everything, obviously, economics. But as far as American culture, the world ended for me in about 1994. Yes, so I who are the current singers other than Taylor Swift, I could not tell you. The fact that Chelsea Handler was apparently getting it on with 50 Cent, total news to me.
There's an extended version of that clip where she talks about it. She's like, maybe if he, changed his vote, I'd let him, hit.
I think you can do better, Fitty.
And
I think you can do better, Fitty.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Why would he want to, quote unquote, hit somebody that thinks he's a racist?
Right.
Right? Like, have a little bit of self-respect, I would hope. Man, she must think her stuff is something, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Pass. Hard pass. Hardest of passes. 855-839-1210. I'm going to take a break before our third hour and Google this because I'm fascinated now. I had no idea.
Well, I know the longer clip's somewhere. I'm sure I can find it here.
Yeah, we'll see if you can find the clip, but I just didn't even know that they went out at one point.
So I always forget Chelsea Handler's a person, honestly.
Well, she arguably,
What? I don't even know what she did. Is she a comedian or something?
She's supposed to be funny.
Okay.
We're told that
I've never
funny.
seen any of her stuff.
Yeah,
so
neither have
I don't know.
You are missing absolutely nothing. I mean that.
That's fine with me.
Yes. You're missing absolutely nothing. 855-839-1210 is the number. Let's take a break, recharge our batteries. I'm going to investigate this 50 Cent Chelsea Handler relationship, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
Jim Cipriotti at Retire Ready Financial Group doesn't need Google to know you're worried about retirement. Between inflation, rising taxes, and the uncertainty about Social Security, he understands. That's why he offers a complimentary retirement second opinion. It's a no-obligation meeting for you to talk about your concerns about retirement. You want to know if you're going to be okay? Let's find out. 610-894-7415 or go online, retirereadyfg.com.
Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriotti, NPN number 2083768.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Are you tired of that dated old kitchen or bathroom? Ready for a refresh? Then you need to give Kitchen Magic a call. They've been transforming spaces quickly, beautifully, and affordably since 1979. From refacing to custom cabinets, backsplash counters, yes, you can get the kitchen you want now, right now. They're offering 12 months of no payments, no interest financing, with 10% off your remodel. Schedule your free in-home design consultation today at kitchenmagic.com. That's kitchenmagic.com.
Hey, it's Dawn for Anderson Mechanical Corporation. AMC does a variety of commercial and industrial work. Their fascinating projects include multi-location businesses, large car dealerships, even medical care facilities. AMC's clients appreciate their commitment to staying on budget, value engineering, and completing projects correctly, no matter what it takes. Call AMC at 215-766-9890. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, or back that won't go away? Check out QC Kinetics. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000.
Dawn Stensland here. Summer is upon us. No time like the present to get back out on the roads. My friends at Piazza Premium Automobiles will help you find that luxury vehicle you've been eyeing. Piazza has thousands of new and certified pre-owned vehicles from brands such as Mercedes-Benz, Land Rover, Jaguar, Maserati, BMW, Porsche, Alfa Romeo, and more. PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com, PIAZZA. Stop by one of their Pennsylvania, Delaware, or New Jersey dealers. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Lexus of Cherry Hill, a 6-time J.D. Power dealer of excellence for customer service. Why would you buy your Lexus from anyone else? The 2024 Lexus models are here and moving fast, and the newly redesigned 2024 Lexus GX has arrived. Tony Labello and his team are your source for the Lexus of your dreams. Over 300 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock. You deserve a Lexus and award-winning customer service. Start your journey with family-owned and operated Lexus of Cherry Hill.
For J.D. Power dealer of excellence information, visit jdpower.com/US-DOE. Just like our offensive line protects our star quarterback, plumbers protect the health of the nation. And Philadelphia Plumbers Union Local 690 is no different. In hospitals, commercial, industrial, and residential, with the best trained plumbers in the world, you can be sure your project is done on time and on budget, no matter how big or small. So when your business needs to build new or expand existing facilities, you can count on the members of Plumbers Union Local 690. Visit plumbers690.org.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
The Phillies split the London series against the New York Mets after losing 6-5. Centrist Benny Gantz resigns from Israel's war cabinet and accuses Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of mismanaging the Gaza conflict. People celebrate the 49th annual Odun Day Festival on South Street.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Live and local with Matt Rooney. On Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Welcome back, boys and girls. The thrilling third hour, the conclusion of tonight's Matt Rooney Show program. What surprises lurk behind every broadcasting corner here as we begin our trace for our bilingual listeners and viewers here on 1210 WPHT? What's in store for us? We'll find out. I can tell you that Dan Cerrucci is going to join us in about 15 minutes to break down that incredibly embarrassing Biden trip to Normandy that I think, here's my best guess. I think Joe Biden, his handlers, were hoping that they could replicate Ronald Reagan's famous presidential sojourn to the beaches of Normandy back in the 1980s. And that in doing so, they could play off a nostalgia and hopefully give the president, if not a bump, at least a little bit of a glow as we head into the summer months. Some good cuts, some clips that they could circulate and use for propagandistic purposes. And there are some articles out there from the legacy media drafting off of that, suggesting that somehow this was a Biden triumph. I mean, it was, he looked like he pooped himself at least twice during the speech. He had to be led around by Jill Biden on and off the stage. We've seen Jill have to redirect him at certain points in the past, right? This entire time, it didn't seem as if he knew he was there. Look, maybe they're going to be able to give him some vitamin B shots ahead of the upcoming presidential debates to make him seem lucid. They were able to do that in 2020. Presumably, I don't know if they're going to be able to make it happen this time. We'll find out, right? The first debate's right around the corner. 855-839-1210 is the number here on the show, over on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT if you wish to participate. Dan Cerrucci joining us in just a little while. I want to, let's see what we can do here. We always get to this point in the show, Andrew, where I have too much and I'm not sure what I can possibly fit in, but I'm going to do the best I can. Here's one thing I definitely want to share before the program's over tonight. While Biden was over in France, Uncle Bozy once again reared his cannibal-consumed head. I can't keep track of whether this guy died at the hands of cannibals following his alleged crash during World War II. But for whatever reason, the beaches of Normandy brought back memories of Bozy for Joe Biden. This is cut number 1. Get your hankies ready, folks. Get those tissues.
You know, I don't want to make this personal, but every time I show up at a military site where veterans are buried, it brings back memories of hearing my grandfather and my mother talk about the loss of their son and brother in the South Pacific. And I think about my son Bo after a year in Iraq.
Poor Bo Biden, right? Probably the only Biden that hasn't sucked, but he continues to have his memory used by his decrepit, corrupt father, right? At every possible turn to try to rehabilitate his own image. But I mean, does that sound like vigor to you folks? Or does that sound like someone that a stiff wind coming off of the Atlantic could knock down? I don't know how they're going to do it. And it doesn't seem likely at this point they're going to try to replace him at the convention. I guess anything's possible. There are plenty of commentators out there that are still suggesting this is a possibility. Here's the problem, guys, Andrew and Henry. You have to have somebody to replace him with. I think that's what people forget. Cackling Kamala is less popular than Joe Biden. So that's not an option. So where do you go next? Do you go with Gavin Newsom? Deeply problematic choice. Phil Murphy? I mean, maybe if they can, I don't know, have the quickest turnaround from an Invisalign product.
He was growing his hair out because there were rumored that he was going to try to run for president.
Do you remember that? It was like a weird Chia Pet ad.
Yeah. Something like that.
Murphy. See it springing up?
Yeah. Well, the idea originally, wasn't it, they were talking about because Trump was, quote, like, before he ran as a Republican, he was considered a celebrity, so to speak, right?
Yes.
So the idea, at least back in 2019 when they were having the Democratic debates and all that stuff, was what leftist-leaning celebrity was going to go up against Trump in 2020. And Oprah, they were talking about Oprah, they were talking about The Rock, they were talking about all these people from California and Hollywood. And then they picked Joe Biden anyway. So.
They picked Joe Biden, yeah. And I think The Rock has since attempted to distance himself from Joe Biden.
Yeah, he's really done getting away from that stuff.
Which The Rock, I think he's like the rest of them. The Rock just wants to make money, right? He
more money.
Right. I mean, like you have kids like I do. Do your kids like Moana, the Disney movie?
Yeah.
Were they into that? My kids loved Moana. Mm-hmm. He was the voice of Maui, right? He wants to keep that Disney money coming in, right? I think, didn't he just do Jungle Cruise too? It was a bomb,
I'm sure.
But
he's in like 5 movies.
Moana 2 is coming out later this year.
There you go. You can't be a Republican and get those kinds of gigs.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
From the Mouse's evil empire. So, that's what that's all about. But, I mean, look, I'm sure Rich Barris, who joined us in the first hour of today's program, would agree with this. Democrats polled this stuff. They've polled different possibilities. They've polled Kamala Harris. They've polled bringing Hillary Clinton back. There isn't a Democrat with a pulse that they haven't explored the possibility of, if we sub out Joe Biden at the last minute, bring this person in, can we possibly salvage this ship before it crashes into the iceberg that is MAGA? If they thought they had an option, they would be pursuing it. They don't. The Democrat bench is far left and unappealing to the center of the country, where Democrats need to do well in 2024 to win. Let me give you an example. The Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde story that is John Fetterman. Now, I want to say from the onset, we've talked about Fetterman before, obviously, on this program. We broadcast from Philadelphia. I am in the camp that does not trust that this is a true conversion. I don't think, even though you wouldn't believe it from listening to him, you can't become a United States Senator and have no sense. John Fetterman and his handlers know what time of day it is. They see the polls. They see that Pennsylvania is auto-correcting back to the center-right. Okay, Trump won it in 2016. It was close again in 2020. Polls suggested it's leaning in the Trump direction again for 2024. So Fetterman knows being a hardcore leftist potentially jeopardizes his own longevity as a senior elected official from the Commonwealth. So as a result, he is now pretending that he is a moderate. He's not, okay? Everyone that's acting like this is some kind of miraculous conversion. I mean, were you born yesterday? Are you new to this rodeo? You know, these people are. They poll and they adjust. Now he's using his stroke as the excuse for this remarkable turnaround. And he joined Bill Maher, I think this is from last week, talking about the reasons for his decision to not just turn to the center, but also cease using the term progressive, a label that he no longer applies to himself. Listen to this.
You said, I'm not a progressive, I'm a Democrat. What does that mean? How do you, what is that distinction? Because I don't think I've used the word progressive. I think I've said woke. I think there's a big difference between woke, and I know that word triggers a lot of people because it had a great beginning as a meaning, but words migrate, and it went to something else. I think there's a big difference between an old school liberal and a woke person. You say progressive Democrat. How do you describe this?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like I've just say, and I've been saying that for years, actually. I said that, I didn't leave the label. It left me on that.
Right.
And that really, after it happened on October 7th, I was really knew that that whole progressive stack would be blasted apart, and there's not going to be any kind of way how the Democrats are going to be able to reply to that kind of, or respond to that kind of. And I really decided early on that I believe that was going to be the right side with Israel throughout all of that. And I knew that would going to be, Democrats would continue to peel away and kind of walk away from standing with Israel on that. But that's where I decided after.
How do you explain that, if you can, that the people who consider themselves the most liberal have abandoned Israel, which was always a liberal darling, for the people who, terrorist organization, the people who outwardly say they want a genocide, who outwardly are the one side of this who is against the two-state solution. Somehow they wound up with them. Why do you think that is? And will this split the Democratic Party?
Well, it does, because there's an appeal there, and I think you talk about that. Like last week, you really hit with the gender apartheid.
Yes.
And talking about a lot of these issues, and some of the most progressive and left parts of the Democratic Party are standing, for the kind of side that have. Kinds of organizations like Hamas or these kind of nations that there are no rights for women, and they certainly don't embrace the LGBTQ kinds of lifestyle. And even in Philadelphia, the Queers for Palestine blocked the Pride parade in Philadelphia, and I never saw that on the bingo card, but it's really
Okay, right? I mean, sounds reasonable. I get it. We've talked about that many times on this show. You've heard it elsewhere. This longing, right? This nostalgia for a Democrat Party that no longer exists. Where are the Truman, JFK Democrats? Are gone. That's the answer. But in the same interview, right? And we didn't play this part, but in the same interview, Fetterman and Maher both confirmed that they're still voting for Joe Biden. So if you believe everything that John Fetterman allegedly believes based upon what he espoused in that clip I just played for you from the Bill Maher program, I mean, how could you still support Joe Biden? He is the force that is allowing all of these things happen to our culture, to our schools. He's allowing anti-Semites that hate Jews to overrun the Democrat Party, right? All these things that John Fetterman is so offended by, it all points back to Biden. Well, we know what the answer is. The answer is that John Fetterman is not at a true conversion, right? Lurch is simply making a strategic decision, just like Bill Maher is, by the way, right? they're both making strategic decisions that this is where the audience is now. Fetterman believes that's where his voters are. Bill Maher knows that if you're going to get guys like Andrew and Henry and Matt Rooney to watch your show and like your stuff, you can't be a woke progressive liberal. You may think I'm cynical. I'm just honest. I'm telling you what the time of day is. 855-839-1210 is the number here on the Matt Rooney Show. Let's take a break, and when we return, a little bit more on Biden's trip to the beach with the one, the only Dan Cerrucci. You're not going to want to miss this here on 1210 WPHT.
For more expert appliance shopping advice, here's National Appliance Warehouse's own appliance guru.
Hello, prime grilling season is almost here. I can almost smell the barbecue now. National Appliance Warehouse is ready with a huge inventory of grills from top manufacturers. Today's grills are loaded with features designed to make outdoor cooking easy and fun, and the grilling experts at National Appliance Warehouse will help you navigate them all. Gas, charcoal, or electric. With so many options, it's important to choose a retailer with superior knowledge and customer service to help you select the correct one. National Appliance Warehouse is dedicated to just that. You'll find everything you need for the outdoor kitchen of your dreams, all at the lowest price available, guaranteed, thanks to Price Assure. And to make sure you're all set for that first barbecue, they'll deliver and even assemble most grills.
The Friends and Family Savings Event is underway now at National Appliance Warehouse. Save on a wide selection of grills and barbecue season and style this summer. Click nationalappliancewarehouse.com or visit their showroom in tax-free Wilmington or Middletown, Delaware today.
Time! Great workout, Rock.
I'll hit the showers.
Not anymore, Rock. I went to Half Price Hot Tubs and got a nice hot tub and infrared sauna.
Hey, yo, Mick, how many rounds did you go to get that deal?
At Half Price Hot Tubs, you always get the best price on the best brands with more inventory than you have sequels.
I'll get one for me and Buckus.
Half Price Hot Tub sale ends soon. Save an additional $500 and get our unique chemical-free system at 0% financing.
I think one of the things that patients don't realize is that when they get a joint replacement, that's not a lifetime treatment option. And they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. That's 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth. And if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS has raised the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes in recent years. This hits hard if you're behind on your taxes. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. If you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
For a complete list of Talk Radio 1210 WPHT's contest rules, go to 1210WPHT.com/rules.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-329-2121. That's 800-329-2121. 800-329-2121.
Calling on Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
And the existential threat of climate change, which is just growing greater. We're working together to accelerate the global transition to net zero. It is the existential threat to humanity, among the only existential threat to humanity, including nuclear weapons, is if we do nothing on climate change.
Climate change is going to destroy the planet. Oh, yeah. Nuclear weapons.
Forgot about those.
Forgot about those pesky things. You know why I forgot about them? Because thanks to Joe Biden, the world is on the verge of being more nuclear than it was when he took office. Iran, thanks to the giveaway from the Biden administration, is probably closer than they've been in a good long while. And I'm just going to tell you something right now, folks. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just shooting straight with you, as I always do. The world is far more likely to end because of a war started by a weak Democrat like Joe Biden than it is from you driving an SUV and the sea levels rising and destroying the Ocean City and Wildwood Boardwalk and turning Philadelphia into beachfront property. Okay? That first thing is much more likely to force our children and grandchildren to live in a hellscape than that second possibility. I'm just throwing that out there for you. 855-839-1210. Let's talk a little bit more about Joe Biden's day in France, which is going to go down in the annals of American history as one of the most egregious projections of weakness that I think I've ever seen. And I hope that after November we never see again. There's only one guy I thought of when I decided it was time to talk about this. He is a PR professional. He is the proprietor of dancerucci.com, where you can read about everything from politics and culture to Broadway and a few other things along the way. He is always pithy. He is always interesting. He doesn't pull any punches. And he's a favorite of the Matt Rooney Show, which he joins again right now. Mr. Cerrucci, good evening,
Hello,
my
Matt.
friend. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be back, Matt. And yeah, I mean, this whole thing with Biden. I mean, I don't know why I bothered to watch it. You see, I have to remember, Matt, that I watched Ronald Reagan in 1984. I watched it live as he delivered that speech, the famous Point du Hoc speech. And then I traveled over there and I walked along that beach and I went to the actual monument that stood behind him when he delivered that speech. That speech is considered one of the 100 greatest speeches in American history. I taught a course on great speeches in history at Penn State, and I included the Point du Hoc speech. The Point du Hoc speech, along with the Challenger disaster speech, those two are considered among two of the greatest speeches Reagan ever gave, among many great speeches that he gave. And then to watch Biden, oh my.
It leads to exasperation, right? I mean, that's the point that I'm at. I have a conservative radio show. We have to inform the voters. We have to explain why this man is so dangerous to our republic, not just because of what he's doing domestically, but because of the weakness he's projecting globally. But it's hard to talk about because it's so sad to watch. It's not pleasant to watch anyone enter into the advanced states of mental decline, but when there is so much on the line, not only for us, but our allies overseas, it's again, what can I say we haven't said 1,000 times, right? It's depressing.
Well, yeah,
that's the word.
But one thing that people are missing here is that when Reagan gave that speech, he was already the oldest serving president in American history. He was almost as old as Biden is now, but you would never know it. Right. You would never know it to look at Reagan, to hear Reagan.
Reagan was his mid-70s, I want to say, by the time he went over to Normandy?
I don't have the exact age. Peggy Noonan referenced it. She wrote a wonderful column in the Wall Street Journal this weekend about the Point to Huck speech. She is largely credited with having written it, but she has never accepted that credit. Because you have to remember, this is something that people don't understand about Reagan. The man was an unbelievable. He was called the great communicator for a reason. Right. All right, so he had speechwriters that wrote stuff for him, and then he would edit it, and it would come back, and they couldn't believe how wonderfully he edited the speeches, and many of the speeches he wrote himself in his own hand. And you can go back and look at them. I mean, this is all legit. It's all there. This man was a lot smarter. He was a lot more talented than most people gave him credit for, and most people understood. And by the way, he enjoyed being underestimated. That was part of his charm. So she has never accepted, no one has ever accepted singular credit for that speech, because every Reagan speech was from Reagan. Okay?
And it bore Reagan's hallmarks, it bore his touch, his influence. And I remember reading about this at one point, how, Reagan, who we know was routinely derided by the left while he was in office for being stupid. Every Republican president is stupid, right? They always attack the intelligence of anyone in the office. That didn't start with Donald Trump and George W. Bush. But when those writings were revealed, those copies of the speeches that had Reagan's own notations, certainly they still attempt to make those accusations about Reagan, but his legacy speaks for itself. He was a deeply thoughtful man that thought deeply about the words emerging from his mouth. That speech in particular, Dan, because as you mentioned a minute ago, you weren't just a PR guy. You actually taught public relations at Penn State. Right. What made the Reagan speech so powerful?
Well, one of the parts of it, the key parts of it, was when he said, these are the boys of, because you have to remember, these men, a lot of them were living then that are not alive now. This was 40 years ago.
Right.
So quite a few of them, and the majority of those that had survived, I believe, were there. And he said, these are the boys of Point du Hoc. These are the men who took the hills. Oh, my God. And they were sitting right behind him. Yeah. And many of them were boys. They were teenagers. Right. Okay? Some of them were 16 and said they were 18 just so they could serve. They lied about their age. And when he said that, I just got all choked up. I mean, it was so evocative, and so you could see it, you could feel it. This is what a great speaker does, and does it succinctly without a lot of words. And of course, he had the enunciation, but he also had the inflection. He knew the ebb and flow of a speech because he had been an actor. He knew when to speed up, when to slow down, which words to emphasize, when to pause, when not to pause. He understood all of that instinctively. So all of this played into it. And then you had Biden, who, it's amazing. Very few people have pointed this out. If you go back to Biden's speech that he just gave this week at Point du Hoc, he tried to copy Reagan's speech. This is what I found astounding, and I have it on my blog. There's a video where they put them side by side, and he basically plagiarized and adapted Reagan's speech. Can you believe the audacity of this man?
I mean, of course, the answer to that is you and I can, right? I mean, the man cheated in law school. He's been a fraud his entire life.
There was a famous
I'm surprised he didn't claim to have climbed the cliffs of Pointe du Hoc himself, right? That's about the only lie we didn't get out of that Biden speech.
I think it was his uncle, that uncle of his.
Yes.
That was later eaten by cannibals or something.
Right, Uncle Boise and I, right, he was raised from the dead, Uncle Boise, after he was eaten by the cannibals, and he and Joe Biden climbed the cliffs and single-handedly won the Battle of the Bulge, right? I think that's what I remember learning in grade school about World War II. But, I mean, look, this is what it boils down to for me, Dan, and you tell me if I'm incorrect in this. You know, we have in Joe Biden a president who subscribes to this leftist idea that America is not truly a great country. It's a fundamentally flawed country. There's more that's wrong with America than that which is right with America. It's that inverse of the Bill Clinton paradigm, right? When he said there's nothing that's wrong with America that can't be fixed by what's right with America. It symbolizes how the Democrat Party has degraded rapidly over the course of the past 40 years. You were once a Democrat. We've talked about it many times before in the show, why you left the party. I wonder if this speech and the juxtaposition to the greatness of Reagan is maybe going to, in some ways, fuel this exodus from the Democrat Party, which seems to be building, particularly among some groups who traditionally don't consider themselves open to voting for Republicans. I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer, right, that what Joe Biden presented on that beach the other day in his speech is not what I want for my future. I want us to be a country where young men are capable of the sort of valor that we saw on D-Day. I know that it's more likely to continue to be that country with a leader like Donald Trump. With Joe Biden, I'm just not so sure.
Well, I would like to think that, of course, but I'm not sure that they see all of this. I mean, they are so dug in. Many of these Biden voters are just so dug in. And unfortunately, the two sides, both sides now, are so dug in. We live in a very protracted country, and we don't have, neither man, comes close to Reagan. I mean, we have to say this now. Trump is an amazing communicator. He has this enormous and extremely loyal following, and it's breathtaking in many ways. But Reagan had this ability to bring people together through his wit, through his charm, through his humanity, and, of course, his communication ability. But
well, it's different men for different times, right? Reagan was fighting the Cold War. He had to go overseas and make an argument for Americanism, right? There's a reason why you, citizens of the world, should want the 20th century to end as an American century. It was a choice between American goodness and the many positive attributes of our civilization and the darkness that would come about if the communists ultimately succeeded in bringing their revolution globally. Donald Trump, it's different, right? So I think his communication is necessarily different. He is an Andrew Jackson, right? He's a Teddy Roosevelt. He is trying to upturn the apple cart here at home to save us from what's always been the existential threat to American civilization. Lincoln talked about this, right?
Well,
he said,
yes, Trump is a sort of diamond in the rough. That's what he is. Reagan, of course, wasn't in the rough. He was much smoother than that because of his training and background. One of the things that Peggy Noonan pointed out in this excellent column of hers was that it was a difficult time when Reagan went over there because Europe was not on our side. They were opposed to this massive military buildup that Reagan was pushing and the nuclear might that he was pushing. okay, and these types of programs. And one of the mission of his speech, one of the purposes of it, was to get Europe back on our side and get behind this. There had been massive demonstrations in Europe against Reagan and against the nuclear buildup. And Reagan was trying to remind them, look, we've got to do this, because if we don't do this, we don't want to have to face all this again. So, but he did it in a much more elegant way.
Well, I guess it's because Trump's task is less elegant, right?
It's a different time.
It's a different time.
And I think that's since past the point of the coarsening of the culture.
Right.
The culture has been coarsened.
And I think that's one of the points that some of the never-Trumper class types like Peggy Noonan don't really seem to understand. You know,
No, she doesn't. No.
We've had some fantastic presidents over the course of this country's history, but I'm not sure that a Lincoln or a Reagan, this would be the time for them, right? We tend to get the leader we need at the time we need it. We need somebody right now who's a little bit rougher around the edges, somebody that's willing to throw a punch, someone that can reach certain groups of Americans who, again, traditionally don't usually give Republicans a chance. And that man this time around appears to be Donald Trump.
Yeah, and a group of Americans who have really, really, really felt terribly left out. Right. And I might add, Matt, that there's no point at this point that we're in now. There's no point in arguing over how the culture was coarsened or who coarsened it. The culture has been coarsened. This is the way. This is the world we live in now. This is the country we live in now. Right. Okay? So we have to deal with it as it is now. We can't just go around and say, well, can't we do, the famous phrase, can't we all get along? Well, right now, no, we're not all getting along.
Right. When one of the major parties is attempting to lock up the other party's nominee on, pardon the popular pun, trumped up charges, no, we can't. There's no middle ground there. There's no ground for compromise. This is a zero-sum game in election 2024. Either we win and we maintain our free society, or the other side wins, and I don't know what America looks like the next time we have a presidential election. You may not have a two-party system anymore. I never thought, Dan, and you probably are in the same boat as me, I never thought I'd say that on the airwaves, but it's the truth, so I find myself having to say it.
Well, no. I am every bit as worried, as concerned as you are, because wokeism has taken over academia, the academy. They've taken over the popular culture. They've taken over, arguably, many of the established religions in the country, to the extent they even exist at all. And, of course, they've totally moved into corporate America, and the education system, what's left?
Oh, yeah. No, all the major institutions have fallen.
Dangerous time.
It is. So Trump now finds himself in a position where I think there's consensus that he's leading at the moment, and he has to pick a vice presidential candidate, Dan, to run alongside him. It arguably is the most consequential vice presidential selection process in history, because there is a decent chance the Democrats are going to try to put Donald Trump in jail. So, if that happens, obviously he needs a strong surrogate on the outside to continue to press his case and carry the banner forward. When I was preparing for tonight's show, it seems like week to week it changes. There's now some chatter that he may be giving renewed attention to Florida's Marco Rubio. As of a month ago, when we were down at Wildwood for the rally, they were talking about Doug Burgum, who is who's a governor. Right. Do you have any sense, Dan, of who Donald Trump's best option might be, given the task that lies ahead?
I don't know who he's going to pick. Trump is very, very shrewd. The best politicians, Matt, don't make a decision until they have to, because they understand that things will be defined and determined by events.
Right.
So they want to hold out as long as possible until they absolutely have to. I don't know who he's going to pick, but he is going to consider where things stand at that moment. But I will tell you this, the best choice that he could make at this time would be Rubio, because Rubio is prepared. He's ready to become president. He is a thoughtful and serious man. He is seasoned, and he's a minority, and he will help to pull the Hispanic vote. And if that brings in the Hispanic vote, we're talking about elections going to be maybe decided by 1%, 2%, 3%. Bingo, there it is. So you're doing it. You've got a minority. You're helping yourself in the ballot box, and you're picking a man who is ready to become president tomorrow and who will likely be president in 4 years if Trump is elected.
Well, that's right. He's picking the next president, right? Like Doug Burgum, I think one of the reasons why North Dakota's governor appealed to Trump is because even though he doesn't have Rubio's charisma, he is a solid guy. He's a successful businessman. He's a billionaire in his own right. He's run a state, right? North Dakota ain't the United States of America, but he's familiar with the duties. But now
he's
Rubio seems
guy, but he's a solid guy, but he's not sexy. Rubio has sex appeal.
He's not sexy, but maybe he doesn't want sexy, right? Maybe he wants steady. I'm not disagreeing with you. I've always been a fan of Rubio. It would also, I'll tell you the number one reason, Dan, why I'd love the Marco Rubio pick, because it would really irk Chris Christie, because many of you will remember that Christie torpedoed Rubio back in 2016 in that debate, right? When Donald Trump won the nomination. So I just love cosmic justice being visited upon politicians that deserve it. Folks, if you're not already familiar with Dan Cerrucci, you need to get familiar with him. DanCerrucci.com is where you can follow him on a daily basis. His handle over on X is Dan Cerrucci. Or you can just tune into the Matt Rooney Show, where there's a good chance from the week to week we impress him into service to help us dismiss the trivial and explain the momentous. My friend, thank you for joining us once again here on the Matt Rooney Show. We always appreciate it, and we value you.
My pleasure.
Take care, my friend. Dan Cerrucci, everyone here on the Matt Rooney Show. Let's take one more break to play some ads and make some money, because we are capitalists here around 1210 WPHT, and we'll be back to wrap up this program in just a few moments.
The plumbing experts at Hutchinson Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Heating are here to help. Whether you've got leaky pipes, a clogged drain, or a water heater disaster, Hutchinson has your back. And right now, get $50 off any plumbing repair. Same-day service, expert technicians, and a job done right the first time. Need a plumber today? Visit HutchComfort.com, and Hutchinson's help is on the way.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
The Phillies split the London series against the New York Mets after losing 6-5. Centrist Benny Gantz resigns from Israel's war cabinet and accuses Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of mismanaging the Gaza conflict. People celebrate the 49th annual Odun Day Festival on South Street.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Don't miss The Education Show with Dom Giordano every Sunday morning at 5:30. Find out how you can help your child or grandchild succeed. Sponsored by New Hope Academy.
Hey Philly, it's Ike Reese. In the city of brotherly love, the only thing we love more than our teams is great savings. And with unlimited welcome from Verizon, you can save big, even if you're on a single line. For a limited time, single lines start at just $50 a month when you bring your own phone. With auto pay plus taxes and fees, that's a savings of $15 a month. And when you switch, now you can save on the things you love, like Netflix and Max, all on the most awarded 5G network. Now that's a real win. There's never been a better time to switch to the network America relies on. But this offer won't last long. Visit your local Verizon store to switch and save big today.
$180 BYOD promo credit and $360 local promo credit applied over 36 months. For new customers with one line on your own 4G, 5G phone on unlimited welcome plan required. Additional terms apply. Auto pay and paper-free billing required. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. $10 a month for each My Plan perk. Additional terms and conditions apply per perk.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. As you know, I'm a dad. I got 3 beautiful kids, and I know what dads want for Father's Day. They want memories. They want family time. They want great food. Food around the grill. That's what I love. That's why Omaha Steaks makes it so easy to make dad happy. And you can get packages for dad starting at just $89 when you go to omahasteaks.com and use my promo code Zioli at checkout. That's right. Father's Day is almost here. You got to get cracking on this. Dads don't need another shirt. They don't need another hat. What they want is great steaks. And there are no steaks better than Omaha Steaks because every steak at Omaha Steaks is aged for 28 days. That is how you enhance the steak flavor. Plus, backed by the most unbelievable guarantee in the business. Packages for dads starting at just $89 when you go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code Zioli at checkout. Do it today because Father's Day is almost here and you want to make dad happy. And as a dad, I can tell you we love steak. omahasteaks.com, promo code Zioli.
Don't miss the Labor and Energy Show with J-Doc and Krause, brought to you by Advocacy United, this Saturday night at 6. Find out about the important issues that'll affect you. The Labor and Energy Show, Saturday night at 6 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Okay, so we covered Donald Trump's trial. Then we talked about Hunter Biden's trial. We forgot a corruption trial. And I'm from New Jersey, so I'm a little bit ashamed. Bob Menendez, his trial continues to grind on. Bob Menendez, who filed to run as an independent Democrat in 2024. Yes, I know, but my reaction was the same as Andrew.
Is there such a thing as an independent Democrat?
When you're under indictment and your party won't give you the nomination, apparently, right?
Yeah, right.
I respect it.
You respect it?
I respect the hustle. Like,
Andrew signed the petition.
Dude.
He's not even from New Jersey.
Dude is going down in the Hindenburg, and he's like, I don't care.
Well,
last-ditch effort.
Yeah.
Right. What does he have to lose, right?
Pretty
That's what
much.
it boils down to. It could arguably help him raise money for his legal defense. If he goes to jail, no harm, no foul. If he is somehow exonerated, who knows? Maybe he could be a player in this thing. Either way, just a reminder for those of you who have been paying close attention, there was a poll, I want to say back in April, that included a three-way race, a generic Republican, a generic Democrat. Now we know who they are. It's going to be Curtis Bashaw for the Republicans and Andy Kim for the Democrats, the guy who's famous for picking up trash after January 6th. This is what leads the Democrat Party, right? That's what passes for credentials. And then Bob Menendez. Bob Menendez got about 9% of the vote. That is spoiler level territory in New Jersey. If he gets 9% of the vote in November, that's at worst a single-digit race for the GOP, which would be remarkable because Republicans haven't won a U.S. Senate race in New Jersey since before Watergate. It's one of the longest droughts in modern federal politics.
So he's really like being a self-serving politician. He's just like, I do not care about the party. I care about me.
Maybe he's
GBB.
cruising for a pardon, right? Like maybe Donald Trump would be willing to pardon him if he somehow delivers a Senate seat, right? Look, we're trying to figure out the thought process of a guy who was hiding gold bars at his house and cash in like boots and inside jackets. So, I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
where...
that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's all that elaborate. I just think he's like, I'm doing it for me.
Yeah.
Screw everybody else.
Well, and the thing is too, like the amount of years that this guy has been in office at this point, and he's up there in age. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm assuming he's into his 70s, if not close to his 80s.
And he's on his second career indictment.
Right. And so at this point, it's like what Henry said. It's like, I'm going to do what's best for me because I know that this is probably my last hurrah. So this is what it is.
This is it. I think that's about right. So Bob Menendez, who's 70, by the way, you're right. He ain't a spring chicken, although you can definitely go longer in the United States Senate. God knows, right? His trial continued this week, and there was testimony from this gentleman named Jose Uribe, right? He's a star witness for the prosecution. And he told jurors that he allegedly made a deal with Nadine Menendez. That's Bob Menendez's wife, for those of you who have been following this. And he made this deal during a 2019 telephone call. And the deal was purportedly that she would receive a Mercedes-Benz convertible on the condition that Bob Menendez would, and this is the quote, stop and kill a criminal probe into Mr. Uribe's company. Here's what he testified to. Nadine will contact Senator Menendez, use his influence and power to do anything possible to stop and kill investigations so it doesn't get to my family, and my family doesn't get hurt. She agreed to the terms. This is kind of critical to the whole thing, right? Because Menendez is throwing his wife under the bus and saying, she was cutting all these side deals to get goodies. I didn't know anything about it. She was leveraging her marriage, her relationship with me to get cars and cash and all this other crazy stuff, right? But if the prosecution can establish that, no, this was part of a Menendez couple hustle and that Bob was fully aware of what she was doing, he could be wearing orange by the end of the year. So where do Republicans fall in all this? It's a little confusing, right? Because on the one hand, Bob Menendez acting as an unregistered agent for foreign powers, not someone who should be looked at as an example that you should uphold in government. At the same time, Bob Eugen, who ran against Bob Menendez back in 2018, he's currently the Republican chairman in New Jersey. It was reported over the weekend that he signed Bob Menendez's petition to run as an independent. So it goes to show you that Republicans see an opportunity here. And it's an interesting opportunity because remember, the Senate is very closely divided, like the rest of the country. So in the event that Republicans somehow manage to win a Senate seat in New Jersey, the Garden State will have been the state that saved the Republic, right? By dethroning Chuck Schumer and injecting some much needed balance back into Capitol Hill. I mean, I did not, to use the popular expression, have it on my bingo cards, New Jersey deciding control of Congress, but it could well happen here in just a few short months. So stay tuned to that one. We're going to continue to follow the Bob Menendez trial, not only here on 1210 WPHT, but over at my website, shameless plug, SaveJersey.com, where we're writing about Bob on a daily basis. So you're not going to want to miss that. Finally, I've got one more thing I want to share this evening. We didn't get a chance to talk about this earlier this evening, but we all know what's happening to our children with the efforts of the medical establishment to cash in and make money by trying to push transgender medical transitions on our kids. Listen to this quote from the head of the American College of Pediatricians, which has finally said the quiet part out loud and spoken out and called on major medical associations to stop pushing puberty blockers and other medical intervention on parents and America's children. This is cut number 8, if we have it. Somewhere in the stack.
Give us a second.
Sounds good. Did it get lost?
Well, I didn't realize you're teeing something up there.
You're usually so good at anticipating me, Henry.
I know.
That's one of the reasons I fell in love with you.
The physical and mental health effects of the current protocols promoted for the care of children and adolescents in the United States who express discomfort with their biological sex. This declaration was authored by the American College of Pediatricians, but really it was developed from the expertise of hundreds of doctors, researchers, and other healthcare workers and leaders who, for years, have been sounding the alarm on the harmful protocols that continue to be promoted by the medical organizations in the United States. Despite recent revelations from the leaked WPATH files and the recent release of the final report from the CAS review, these medical organizations have not changed course. So we are calling on these medical organizations of the United States, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Endocrine Society, the Pediatric Endocrine Society, the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association, and the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry to follow the science and their European colleagues and immediately stop the promotion of social affirmation, puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries for children and adolescents who experience distress over their biological sex. In our declaration, right? We affirm that.
And I'll retweet the declaration so you can read it. We don't have time to play the whole thing. But look, if there's one theme of tonight's show, it's that there are good people out there, like Teddy Liddell running in CD1 in New Jersey, that are willing to challenge the narrative. My challenge for you between now and next week, be a part of that movement. Challenge the narrative every day. That's what we do here at 1210 WPHT, but we need to add you. We need to add your voice to the fight if we're going to succeed in just a few short months. I know you'll be with us. I've got faith in you folks. That's another edition of Matt Rooney Show in the books. Thank you to Henry. Thank you to Andrew. Stay tuned. Coming up, we always have the Walter Sterling Show on after the Matt Rooney Show here at this station, but it's my understanding Walter's actually in studio tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go. So that's an added treat here for the 1210 audience. He's on the ground here in Philadelphia. So you have that coming up here in just a few moments. We will be back next Sunday night, as we always are, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, stay safe, stay sane, and keep fighting for this greatest nation in God's creation. It's worth it.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. June is Men's Health Month with Rescue Natural Supplements. Life is busy. It can be hard to focus on your health. Thankfully, Rescue Men's Health Supplements have the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that provide men with what they need. Rescue supplements can help boost